Wow, guys, I had a tech problem earlier. I'm not sure what happened. My stream just shut down. It's crazy. But I got some blueberries, and now we're okay. We're back in action.
I feel like you guys could have gone way harder with that, you know? That's my main issue. I feel like the logistics here just didn't pan out. Like, you could have gone way harder. That's the main issue, you know? Honest. Oh yeah, same shirt. What's up? That's consistent, Stiller. I feel like you guys...
I don't know what this is even linked for.
Live chat isn't working but can send super chats. Typical Google.
Nice.
I'm Dr. Wilson. I'm a PhD molecular biologist, and welcome to another COVID-19 debunking video. Now, normally on this channel, most of the time, it's just me. It's just me researching, it's just me making the videos, and I'm just an average scientist. But I felt that this video was really important, so this time I asked for the help of several fellow PhDs and MDs to offer their insights and information to debunking this video, which of course today is Robert Malone's appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast. Before watching this video, please know that all of the information and data that I'm going to talk about in this video is linked in the description below, along with the information to all of the people who helped me make this video. And one last thing before we get started, I want to make it clear that all of the ad revenue that this video is going to make is going to be donated to Save the Children's campaign for COVID relief for children. So let's get started talking about Robert Malone. Now, on the Joe Rogan podcast, he claimed that he was the inventor of mRNA vaccine technology. I think it's really important to drill into this and discover what his actual role was in this whole story of mRNA vaccines. Because the truth is that him claiming that he is the inventor of mRNA vaccine technology is, at best, very inaccurate, and at worst, a complete lie by omission. So what did Robert Malone actually do? Well, in 1989, he published a paper as a graduate student describing experiments where he packaged mRNA into cationic lipid vesicles. These are essentially fat globules that are positively charged. He was able to add these cationic lipids containing mRNA to cells and get them to take up the mRNA and express a protein. And then a couple of years later, he was able to use this technology to introduce mRNA to a living mouse and have that mouse produce an HIV protein. This work was working towards an HIV vaccine, but the problem here was, although the mouse took up the mRNA and made a protein, there was no immune response. This work was ultimately never published, and not long after, he gave up the idea of mRNA vaccines and shifted his focus to making DNA vaccines, none of which have so far panned out, by the way. At the end of the day, what this all amounts to is a small contribution in a long line of contributions that ultimately added up to what we now have as mRNA vaccines. There were so many other scientists that contributed to this line of work, many of them much more than Malone. You can see this in the history and the reviews of this field. Yes, Malone made a contribution, but he is hardly the inventor of any mRNA vaccine technology. In fact, what he did in 1989 needed to be drastically improved upon. There needed to be several changes and several new ideas added to this technology in order to make it viable as an mRNA vaccine. Tons of work ranging from making these cationic lipids actually safe to inject into humans and stabilizing mRNA enough so that the cells take it up and produce a protein and get an immune response out of it, all had to be figured out by people other than Malone. From scientists like Paul Krieg to Derek Rossi, this timeline and their contributions goes much deeper than Malone. And he doesn't tell that story, which I think is really, really disingenuous. If there's any one person who deserves most credit for mRNA vaccine technology, it's definitely Caitlin Carrico. Together with Drew Weissman, Carrico has been a resilient force in the field of mRNA vaccine technology. She took the technology where Malone and others could not. She made it usable in humans. She was so dedicated to this that she even took a demotion in her job to continue working on mRNA vaccines specifically because she believed in the technology. So take an honest look at this story and tell me who you think deserves more credit. Is it Robert Malone, who gave up on mRNA vaccine technology over 20 years ago? Or is it Caitlin Carrico, who stayed persistent working on this project for most of her career? I think this is really important to clarify because it sets the stage for who I think Malone really is, and that is someone with a huge chip on his shoulder. To me, he seems like somebody who is just very bitter and has a very big ego. He feels like he deserves more credit than what he actually does in this mRNA vaccine technology field. And because he's not getting that recognition, I think he feels the need to attack mRNA vaccines so that he can somehow discredit them and pave the way for his own COVID treatments that he has planned, that he talks about in this interview. But instead of just attacking mRNA vaccines, he has resorted to blatant disinformation and outright lies in order to discount them. And those are the lies that I'm going to focus on and point out in this video. Ultimately, I think that Robert Malone will be remembered the same way Andrew Wakefield is, a discredited doctor who resorts to anti-vaccine misinformation in order to further his own selfish reasons. Now, let's get into the Joe Rogan interview.
And I was tip of the spear on bringing the Ebola vaccine forward that we now call the Merck Ebola vaccine. I'm the one that got Merck involved.
Right at the beginning of this interview, not only does he try to take credit for mRNA vaccine technology, but he also claims that he was tip of the spear for the Merck Ebola vaccine. But his role that he describes in the process is kind of cagey. He says he got Merck involved. Now, I don't know if he was at some conference and think that he facilitated the whole beginning of the Merck Ebola vaccine production, but I did my best to fact check this, and I checked through every list I could find of contributors, major contributors to the Merck Ebola vaccine, and I could not find Malone's name anywhere. Now, I'll be honest and say there could be something that I'm missing here that makes him technically right, but if only he were just more specific, I wouldn't have to wonder, and the way he delivers it makes the viewer absolutely believe that he was an essential role in this process, and I can't find any evidence of that.
Whether you're in the camp that says I'm a liar and I didn't invent this technology despite the patents, and there's a whole cohort of that.
Does he have patents in his name? This Blitz is super trash. When this guy picked Blitz, I was really excited because I thought he was going to be a god, but I don't think he's landed a single kill game. Oh, God.
So since this is probably going to be something that people bring up, I will address it. Yes, he does have mRNA vaccine technology patents, but it's for the technologies that he helped develop, not the technologies that actually ended up being used in mRNA vaccines that today are functional. Besides, these patents had already expired. Again, Malone abandoned this idea of making mRNA vaccines a reality long ago, but now he wants credit for it. I think that's really disingenuous.
Peter Navarro and I came out with an op-ed in the Washington Times in which we criticized the Biden policy on vaccines and said that they should be reserved for those that need them most and not used universally.
This is a claim I've heard a lot of people make, and it's completely wrong. Right away, there are two incorrect assumptions here. One is that vaccines are 100% effective. The other is that all the most vulnerable people can benefit from vaccination. Since vaccines are not 100% effective, because no medication is, even vaccinated people are going to be at risk of severe disease of COVID if they're exposed over and over and over again. And that's what you're going to get when a large portion of the population remains unvaccinated. The virus will be able to spread unabated because, yes, vaccination does reduce the virus's ability to transmit. And there are a lot of people who can't benefit from vaccination. This includes a large umbrella group of people that we just call immunocompromised. Immunocompromised people can include people who are undergoing cancer treatment, people who are very old, people who have genetic diseases, even pregnant people. But even beyond that, it is impossible to tell who is going to suffer most from COVID and who is not until they get infected. So even if you could consistently predict who is going to be most at risk and only vaccinate them, you still leave a large portion of the population unprotected where the virus can spread as much as it wants, and you're gambling with their lives.
Really stupid a brand.
This approach is just not taken with any other vaccine, because vaccinating the majority of the population is how vaccines work best. HPV vaccination is a brilliant example of this. Widespread use of HPV vaccines has reduced deaths like cervical cancer significantly. And it did this in part by reducing transmission, which is what we would ultimately like to do with COVID vaccines, combined with other measures like careful behavior, masking, social distancing, etc. This next clip is Malone wondering which tweet it was that got him suspended from Twitter.
The last two that I can think of that went out was one that was on our Substack, in which we referred to a fantastic video that has been put out by the Canadian COVID Care Alliance group.
Okay.
God, that group is such a dog shit fucking group.
So I've seen this video and I know it's been shared a lot among COVID denying circles. So let me take a few minutes to address it, and just a reminder, Malone is endorsing this video. So one common complaint about the Pfizer clinical trials that this video tries to point out is the fact that once the clinical trials were completed, the control group was offered the vaccine. They think that this destroyed the control group, but there's still a control group in the form of unvaccinated people. Monitoring and follow-up efforts take this into account, and in the long term, systems like VSafe, which constantly compare vaccinated people to control groups.
Wait, what? Hold on, I'm sorry.
But there's offered the fact that once the clinical trials were completed, the control group was offered the vaccine. They think that this...
My understanding is that it's standard practice that when you're having a medical trial, if you have proven that there are no negative side effects and there is a massive therapeutic effect that's conferred on people that are taking the medication, you have an ethical obligation to switch people over from the placebo to the actual vaccination. You have an ethical medical obligation to do that. You can't just keep them on the placebo and watch them suffer and die when you know, like almost, I don't want to say beyond a shadow of a doubt, but when you have very, very, very high confidence that that whatever medication you're trying versus the placebo is effective.
Destroyed the control group, but there's still a control group in the form of unvaccinated people. Monitoring and follow-up efforts take this into account, and in the long term, systems like VSafe, which constantly compare vaccinated people to control groups, will constantly be taking place. This is normal and commonplace in clinical trials.
Not gonna kill them.
Once the clinical trial is done,
such a dog
the
shit.
placebo group
Brand is
is
so
offered
strong,
the
it's so
medication
stupid.
if it works. And COVID mRNA vaccines were of course shown to work extremely well in every clinical trial that they were used in. Next, this video claims that animal trials, or what we call preclinical trials, were skipped with mRNA COVID vaccines.
Just kidding.
This is blatantly untrue. You can find the preclinical trials published.
Why do I want to talk to Quinn? What? There's literally nothing for us to talk about. I probably agree with the broader point he said. He said it in the most retarded fucking way possible. There's nothing to talk about. And he doesn't even want to talk. He messaged me, he said, people say I should talk to you. Okay, don't run to other people's chats and spam Destiny wants to talk. I don't want to talk. There's nothing to talk about. We probably agree with the broader point. Actually, we probably don't even agree with the broader point because it seems like his characterization of rape is incorrect. Rapists don't run around and look for women that look like the most scantily clad and rape them. Usually rapes are done as a form of opportunism, right? Like, oh, like there's a girl I'm talking to, or like, oh, I could probably do this or that, and then rape this person. That's typically how it goes. Rapists don't go out looking for like who's the least clothed person in here that a Republican would condemn the most for wearing a slutty outfit and then rape that person. Dude, I can't deal with Brand. Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay.
To read in several journals. Again, Malone is endorsing this. This should be a huge red flag. The last common point that this video gets wrong is its complaint about absolute risk and relative risk. When it comes to This should be a huge. This is blatantly untrue. You can find the preclinical trials published, free to read, in several journals. Again, Malone is endorsing this. This should be a huge red flag. The last common point that this video gets wrong is its complaint about absolute risk and relative risk. When it comes to non-infectious diseases, then absolute risk makes a lot more sense to consider in your calculations. But with infectious diseases, especially ones that are as contagious as SARS-CoV-2, absolute risk is practically useless. That's because in this case, absolute risk is going to measure your current risk of getting COVID under the current circumstances. So for example, if I live in rural Michigan, I'm going to have a very different absolute risk at that point in time than if I live in Japan. Over time, you are exceedingly likely to encounter SARS-CoV-2, be exposed, and get infected. That's why relative risk, which measures the risk between two randomized comparable groups, is much more accurate here. We can see that relative risk is a much more relevant number here because it's actually extremely consistent across multiple clinical trials done independently of each other. So essentially what data sets like this allow us to say with confidence is that a group of vaccinated people is going to have a much lower risk of getting severe outcomes from COVID relative to an unvaccinated group. This conclusion has thus far held true everywhere.
The policy that's being implemented is one in which no discussion of the risks are allowed, because by definition they will elicit vaccine hesitance. So it can't be discussed.
This is a huge lie on so many levels. The risks can absolutely and have been discussed extensively. In fact, around April of 2021, the risks of the J&J shot causing a rare form of blood clot was noticed and discussed, and action was taken on that risk so that we could learn more about it before deciding whether or not to keep using it. This was all very public, and nobody who talked about it got silenced because it reflected the science. Even just recently, there was a preferential recommendation made for 5 to 11-year-olds to get an mRNA vaccine instead of the J&J shot, because although the risk was extremely rare, the risk was real. So a preferential recommendation was made after considering the risks. Not to mention the fact that the ACIP discusses the risks of vaccines in every single meeting that they have, and you can read their meeting notes for free online. The fact is that the risks of these vaccines are now well understood. Over 9.2 billion doses of COVID vaccines have been given worldwide. These vaccine doses have been monitored heavily for safety and efficacy, and they are very, very safe. To deny this is to suggest that hundreds of thousands of scientists from independent nations and independent labs all across the world are all somehow in on a conspiracy.
There's good modeling
DGG
studies
watcher.
that probably 500,000 excess deaths have happened in the United States through the intentional blockade of early treatment by the U.S. government. That is
500,000.
500,000. That is a well-documented number.
I would like to see the documentation of that, please. And I know that he won't provide it because there is no such documentation. Here he is talking about early treatments, namely ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, both of which have been very well researched in the context of COVID at this point, and both have been found to be ineffective. I'll cover this more as the video goes on, but for now, the studies flashing across your screen show very convincingly that hydroxychloroquine is not effective against COVID, and again, they're all linked in the description below so that you can read them for yourself.
And he states that the reason is that he believed there was no evidence of hydroxychloroquine being useful for this virus. Now that's false. Hydroxychloroquine was known to be effective against SARS-1.
This is just flat out wrong. No such thing was ever shown. The only evidence that he is referencing here is a paper published in 2005 where SARS-1 virus was used to infect monkey kidney cells in a dish, and then chloroquine was added on top of it. And it was shown that chloroquine inhibited viral replication. But this is an in vitro experiment. This is the baseline bare minimum of what you need in order to start testing a medication in animals, for example. None of these further steps were ever done in the context of SARS-1.
How?
An
Why?
in vitro study is
Sheen?
totally
Okay.
insufficient to say that
Should've
a
flushed.
medication is effective against a virus like SARS-1. Someone like Malone should know this, and the fact that he's not acknowledging any of this is another huge red flag.
So Merck coming out of the blue and saying ivermectin isn't safe is really inexplicable.
Yeah, that's not quite what happened. Merck, which, by the way, is
Makes
one
the
of the
pill.
largest producers
Yes.
of ivermectin, said that there is no evidence to suggest that ivermectin is effective against COVID. Also, a lot of the doses for ivermectin that are being touted as effective against COVID are
Way too high.
beyond what's used for parasites. And Merck pointed out, rightly so, that there is not much safety data for these higher doses. I'll talk more about ivermectin later in the video, but for now I'll also point out that even in vitro studies failed to show any inhibition of SARS-CoV-2 replication in human primary airway epithelial cells.
Is it safe to assume, like without adequate tests, that hydroxychloroquine would work on?
It's the decision that was made by the Chinese government. Okay, that's my point. I got the original Chinese protocols. This is what they were using.
And they were using it effectively?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is again extremely misleading. Even if China was using it in their protocols, that doesn't mean it's effective. Let's see the data. Luckily, we have the data. Here again are several studies showing that hydroxychloroquine is not effective against COVID. Some of them are even from China. They tested it and showed that it's just not effective. I'll also throw in the fact here that at the beginning of the pandemic, lots of doctors, lots of hospitals were throwing everything at the wall to see if anything stuck. And hydroxychloroquine was one of those things. But it, like so many other things, just turned out to not stick.
So were they using ivermectin as well?
No.
No. But other countries have, like Japan and India and...
Uttar Pradesh, as you know, has crushed COVID.
Okay, these are more huge misconceptions that are just blatantly wrong but get endlessly repeated. Japan does not use ivermectin as a treatment for COVID. It is explicitly stated on Japan's public health websites that it is not part of their protocols. Uttar Pradesh in India is another example that is commonly cited but is also very incorrect. There is no evidence that ivermectin was actually what helped Uttar Pradesh lower its COVID wave. Not only do the timelines of when ivermectin was supposedly recommended not line up with the actual dip in cases, there's much more evidence to suggest that actual lockdowns and a mass vaccination campaign is what helped Uttar Pradesh get COVID under control. Another thing that people who bring this up never actually point out is that ivermectin was being used in Uttar Pradesh long before Delta actually came along, because it's commonly used to treat parasites that are endemic in that area. And yet ivermectin was unable to prevent a huge COVID wave from devastating the nation. A similar thing also happened in Brazil, another country that commonly uses ivermectin to treat endemic parasitic infections. But Brazil has had one of the worst times with COVID of any country in the world. This is all just completely ignored by people who bring up this Uttar Pradesh story.
What we do know, for sure, well documented.
For sure.
If you've got prior COVID and natural
Crime count the other
immunity,
night drove me nuts hearing
you
some
have
people
a
say what
higher
makes pet stuff wrong is children can't consent. It's like saying it's only wrong to beat the shit out of a kid because they didn't consent.
Nice.
risk of adverse events from the jab.
This honestly just seems to be another lie. I can't find any information that he might even be incorrectly citing here. All of the data show that it is very safe to receive COVID vaccines even if you've been previously infected. And furthermore, upon getting vaccinated while having prior infection, your immunity gets boosted tremendously. Having prior infection is really no excuse to not get vaccinated.
And that's only one of over 140 studies that document that natural immunity is superior to the vaccine-induced immunity.
The study that he's citing here is one out of Israel comparing natural immunity to vaccine-granted immunity. The problem here is that when other labs try to repeat this study, they don't find consistent results. In community settings, it's been measured both ways. Vaccine-induced immunity has been measured to be more effective against further COVID infection than natural immunity, and vice versa. So it's unclear which is actually better at a community setting. But when we go down to the molecular and...
Do you think he's doing it because he wasn't credited with actually making the technology? Yeah, he thinks he's fucking Walter White, basically.
cellular level, natural immunity and vaccine-induced immunity look very similar. The problem with still arguing for natural immunity here is that natural immunity comes with huge risks.
I feel like I've outpaced
If you
him
want to
intellectually.
get natural immunity to protect
Alex
yourself
Baldwin
against
didn't get charged for the
COVID, you
rest
still
shooting by
have to
the end
get
of the year.
COVID in
Bet
order
paid.
to get that natural immunity. That doesn't make
Which
any
bet?
sense whatsoever. Not only are you risking your own life and your own well-being, but you're risking spreading it on to others who could also suffer from it. It's irresponsible.
I didn't
It's
think
not
I
a
needed to
policy
do that.
that is worth going for.
Exhaust.
Just get vaccinated. It is much, much safer, and it's still really, really effective.
So whatever the CDC or Tony Fauci or Tedros, etc., says is truth by definition.
Gang, rise up.
And any information or discussion which is contrary to that truth will be suppressed. It will be deleted.
Right, just like the several op-eds that commonly get published in journals like the Wall Street Journal and the New York Post, along with several common appearances on news sites like Fox News and CNN. Honestly, the constant flood of disinformation that we see across multiple different platforms is proof enough that this is just not true. This is him just making himself out to be some noble martyr, when the truth is far from that.
And Bobby Kennedy makes the point that the first real example of cancel culture that we can track is Tony Fauci canceling the esteemed virologist Peter Duesberg.
Wow. In one sentence, Malone manages to reference Robert...
These lyrics are so deep. Just this one line is so deep.
Berg.
Wow.
I need
In
Unc to break this
one
down for me.
sentence, Malone manages to reference Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is one of the biggest and most influential anti-vaxxers out there, and defend an AIDS denier, Dr. Peter Duesberg. Duesberg is infamously an HIV/AIDS denier. His ideas on the origins of HIV and its relationship to the disease AIDS have been long debunked by the data. Oh, and he was never canceled. He was able to keep his job as a full-time professor because disciplinary boards thought that it was his academic freedom to express his ideas in the op-eds and unpublished work that he wrote. But nonetheless, his ideas were completely and utterly debunked long ago. And the fact that Malone here is endorsing him is just ridiculous.
I had
Young man.
Duesberg on my podcast a long time ago, and it was the first time I ever got like extreme pushback from people that were like, I mean, this is after protease inhibitors had been used, so it didn't even make sense. And people were saying, you have blood on your hands, people are going to die because of this podcast. And I'm like, what are you saying?
And unbelievably, or maybe not surprisingly, Joe Rogan is also defending him, and Malone is agreeing with him. This is egregious. I can't believe
I feel like I've
that
outvaxxed him.
people can watch this and think
Ivermectin.
it's okay. No, Joe Rogan, it is not okay to have an HIV/AIDS denier on your show. I don't care if protease cocktail inhibitors have been in use in the USA for some time when you had him on your show. HIV/AIDS is still a major problem worldwide. Duesberg himself influenced the president of South Africa at one time to completely deny AIDS, which led to the deaths of millions of people. It is absolutely irresponsible for someone like Rogan to promote these people on his platform, and he has got to learn that.
Everybody argues both sides of the coin with the VAERS system. Oh, that means nothing. And then, oh, well, when the CDC uses it, it means everything, right? And it's okay for them to use it as the numerator, but it's not okay for anybody else to use it.
VAERS is a great tool. The problem is Malone seems to have no clue how to actually use it. It's not only okay when the CDC uses it. You just have to understand what it's meant to do. VAERS is meant to generate hypotheses about trends that are noticed in the population. Those trends, those hypotheses, have to be followed up on and studied, confirmed, compared to a control group. There are multiple programs specifically designed for collecting and assessing data gathered on VAERS. This includes the Vaccine Safety Data Link, the Clinical Immunization Safety Assessment Project, and the FDA's Post-Licensure Rapid Immunization Safety Monitoring System, or PRISM for short. Malone must be aware of these tools, right? If he is, why isn't he talking about them? Is it because he wants you to think a certain way? Probably.
You know, well, if you had a car accident or a bullet to the head and you went to the hospital and they tested you with a PCR test that's nonspecific and they ran it up to 42 cycles and they said, oh, look, there's the virus.
This is just straight up disinformation that I've personally debunked on my channel many times. The idea that COVID PCR tests are not accurate is totally wrong. Every molecular biologist should know this. This is kind of a big advantage of PCR, its accuracy. The easiest way to see this is to just understand how PCR works, but if you don't have the time and bandwidth to understand that, then all you have to do is look at this table, which tested COVID PCR tests against multiple other different viruses, all of which it did not successfully detect. To all of the molecular biologists and scientists who understand PCR out there, Malone saying this should send off huge alarm bells to you that he does not know what he's talking about, or he's just straight up lying.
If someone is hospitalized and able to be declared COVID positive, they also receive a bonus.
This statement ranges from totally misleading to totally untrue. Yes, it's true that hospitals will get reimbursed for the patients that they treat, and in America, that might mean that a doctor might get a little bit of extra money if they treat a particularly difficult patient that needs an extended hospital stay and a lot of drugs, such as a COVID patient. But faking these things in order to gain money and thus inflate numbers is called fraud, and that would be picked up in audits very frequently. This argument is also extremely US-centric. For countries with socialized healthcare, such as New Zealand, Australia, and many countries in Europe, hospitals get nothing extra. I can't emphasize enough how much Malone is intentionally trying to mislead specifically the American people.
If the patient comes in with a bullet hole to the head, and they do a nose swab, and they come up PCR positive, they're determined to have died from COVID, when in fact they died from lead poisoning.
That's real?
Yeah.
So they've really done that with gunshot victims, car
I don't know about,
accident victims.
for sure, trauma and other things.
I've seen that said, but I've always thought that's ridiculous. There's no way a hospital would do that.
It's not a question of what the hospital would do. It's a question of med codes.
Rogan was right to push back here, and he should have kept going because Malone is so horribly wrong here. This is one of the oldest COVID myths dating back to the beginning of the pandemic. No, this is not how COVID deaths are classified. Malone even claims that the CDC outlined the guidelines in order to make it so that someone who gets hit by a bus can be classified as a COVID death. And that's just totally wrong. Here's a CDC document showing the guidelines for how to classify a COVID death. It even offers example death certificates. These guidelines clearly state that COVID must be an underlying or major contributing cause to the actual death itself. And most importantly, the death should be classified as natural. If the death is not classified as natural, meaning it wasn't due to disease, then it can't be COVID. I really can't express enough how egregiously bad this is that Malone is lying to Joe Rogan about how COVID deaths are classified, which is just a long debunked myth. It's unbelievable.
But in these urban environments, there is all these incentives for hospitals to treat COVID patients. And if people are giving treatments that are keeping the people out of the hospitals, then they're not getting that revenue.
Again, this is a US-centric take, and he seems to be forgetting or ignoring the fact that COVID vaccines keep people out of the hospital. So in his logic, what's the reason for pushing vaccines if they're keeping people out of the hospital and making the hospitals lose out on all this supposed money? Please explain.
So what is it that drives menstruation? The answer is the ovary. The ovary is the controller, okay, through hormones and ovulation. Okay, what did we learn early on from the Pfizer data package, which, by the way, when that was disclosed by Byron Bridle from Japan and sent to me, was the first thing that really lit me up and let me know that something here was rotten.
This is another very common claim that blatantly misinterprets data. If you actually look at the data that Malone is referencing here, you will see that 0.1% of the lipids, which were what was being measured, ended up in the ovaries of rats that they injected with a very high dose of mRNA vaccine. Furthermore, if you do the work to look deeper into this story, you find that despite the 0.1% presence of lipids in these rats, no tissue damage was observed in the ovaries, and in humans, This has been true as well. It has been found fairly consistently across multiple studies that mRNA vaccines don't affect ovaries at all, don't affect women's fertility. Nothing about this is true. He is just fear-mongering by misinterpreting data or purposely misrepresenting it. Around this time in the interview, Malone also claims that COVID vaccines are affecting women's menstrual cycles. And for that, I'll refer you to Dr. Jen Gunter, who wrote a very good explanatory piece about this topic on her Substack.
What is driving the myocarditis? So there are a variety of hypotheses about this. What we do know is that both the virus and these vaccines are associated with...
You can dash over the wall. Why would you use the plant?
Microcoagulation or microcoagulopathy. The latter one being a disease of microcoagulation, small blood clots.
Okay, so several things to bring up here. One is that mRNA vaccines have not been associated with cases of blood clotting. That is only the J&J and AstraZeneca vaccines, and the mechanism for that has actually now been well understood. But sticking to Malone's claims about the spike protein, if the spike protein makes it into the bloodstream, it's at very, very minuscule levels. How small? It's picogram levels. That's 10 to the minus 12 grams. That's a really, really tiny amount that is not expected to actually cause any damage in the body. And furthermore, none is observed. The only time that damage is observed in any situation like this was in animal studies that injected rodents with really high levels of spike protein, levels that are not going to be seen with a vaccination. But a COVID infection might reflect this damage more closely. So if Robert Malone is so worried about the spike protein, he should be very concerned about people getting COVID. And what's the best way to prevent severe COVID? Vaccines.
It's the job of the pharmaceutical companies to prove that their engineered spike is safe. They never did that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what the preclinical research and phase 1, 2, and 3 trials were for, Robert. All of these trials and the results are free to read online. They're linked in the description below. If you don't believe me, go and check them out. Give them an honest read if you really believe what Malone is saying here, because he is playing you.
And then we have, I hope someday you get a chance to have Ryan Cole on. Pathologist. Deep understanding of this.
I'm not surprised that Malone is endorsing Ryan Cole here. He is a pretty horrible spreader of pseudoscience that I've debunked on this channel before. I mean, it's really bad. Go check it out if you have the time.
But there is signs in some data, and we were talking about this just before the broadcast, from Denmark, among other places, of negative efficacy against Omicron as a function of the number of vaccinations up to 3.
This is yet another claim where he is just blatantly misinterpreting data or lying about it. The paper that I think he's referencing, because he doesn't actually say the name of it, is this one, which actually shows people who had a third dose of COVID vaccine had a reduced secondary attack rate, which is another name for transmission of SARS-CoV-2 relative to unvaccinated people. This means that people with a booster shot were less likely to spread the virus. In order for Malone to be correct here, he would have to show evidence that vaccinated people are getting hospitalized at a higher rate than unvaccinated people. But there just is no such data set. There might be countries that have really high vaccination rates where most of the people in their hospital with COVID are vaccinated, but the overall rate of hospitalization is way down thanks to vaccines.
That Omicron, and the WHO made the statement there are no known deaths associated with Omicron in the world. Now, there may be a couple somewhere.
I thought it was just the United States. I didn't know they were saying for the world.
Yeah.
Well, that's just plain wrong. This would have been true on December 4th of 2021, but by the time this interview happened at the end of December, there had already been several recorded Omicron deaths. So Malone is either just not up on the times or he's lying.
But getting back on track with Omicron, it is absolutely looking like Omicron is a mild variant. It is absolutely able to escape prior vaccination, the control of prior vaccination, typically with mismatched vaccine.
This is also just really misleading and also wrong. It is true that Omicron might be a less severe variant, but that does not make it mild by any means. We have yet to really tease out whether or not the reduced pathogenicity of Omicron relative to something like Delta is due to the amount of immunity from natural infection and vaccination seen in the communities, or if it's an intrinsic reduction in the pathogenicity of Omicron itself. We just don't have a final answer on that yet. So to say that it's absolutely mild is just wrong. It's also wrong to say that it completely escapes vaccine immunity. It doesn't. We know that just 2 doses of mRNA vaccine still hold plenty of efficacy against hospitalization from Omicron. And we know that a 3rd dose actually makes this a lot better. Malone even implies here that the vaccines are mismatched, that we somehow need a vaccine that's specific for Omicron. And that's
Jesus Christ. Sorry. My bad. Bad tweets.
actually makes this a lot better. Malone even implies here that the vaccines are mismatched, that we somehow need a vaccine that's specific for Omicron, and that's just not true. And there's a very good immunological reason for this, which he doesn't seem to ever talk about in this interview, which is hypersomatic mutation of B cells, the cells that produce antibodies. Each time you're exposed to an antigen, your B cells are going to undergo hypersomatic mutation, which is a process in which they create better, more specific, more honed antibodies. And it turns out that after your 3rd round of exposure via vaccination, this breadth of antibodies that come out of this process is really good, enough to neutralize Omicron. And that's not even to mention the T cells that still are able to recognize Omicron. So this is just wrong on so many levels from Malone.
So are you saying, or are you implying that perhaps one of the reasons why they're removing monoclonal antibodies is to enhance the amount of people that are sick?
I'm saying it is in the spectrum of the range of possible, just the same as the withholding of early treatments is inexplicable.
There is no vague realm of possibility musing here. It's just wrong what he's saying. Monoclonal antibodies are not being withheld. You can go and look at the recommendations right now and see that they are still being recommended. So I honestly don't know where he's getting this. The only thing that's changed is that they are less effective against Omicron than they are against Delta. So that's the only caveat that clinicians have to work with. But monoclonal antibodies are still widely used and recommended. This is just out of left field and totally made up.
There's 2 hills that I'm willing to die on. One is stopping the jabs in the children, and one is, resisting the erosion of free speech.
To be 100% honest, this is the part of the interview where Malone, to me, becomes most despicable. We're talking about children and vaccines and his willingness to die on a hill that children shouldn't get COVID.
I would punch a woman in the head, though, given the right circumstances, for sure. I would punch a woman in the head, though, given the right...
Why?
Just the vaccines. In the U.S., pediatric hospitalizations have increased 5-fold in New York City just in December of 2021. Nationwide, hospitalizations among children have increased 50% in just the final week of December. And these hospitalizations are almost exclusively among the unvaccinated. Children are affected by COVID too, and the numbers of children who suffer from COVID are only going to increase the more we ignore our solutions to protect them.
The psychological damage of these lockdowns, this mask use, the school policies, the bullying of children who are unvaccinated, the psychological damage is huge. We're having a worldwide epidemic of suicide in children.
I would really like to see the data for that, because as far as I'm aware, suicide rates in the US have dropped in 2020. I honestly wonder, though, if Malone cares at
Doesn't she have
all
charm?
about the psychological damage that a child endures when they are hospitalized with COVID, or when they lose a primary or secondary caregiver to COVID, of which over 140,000 children in the US alone have experienced that fate. Worldwide, that number is estimated to be about 1.5 million as of July 2021. These are children who lost the person they depend on to take care of them to COVID, a disease that now is mostly preventable. And Malone is just pushing an idea that is going to make those numbers grow and grow. It is absolutely disgusting to me anytime someone like Malone co-opts children into their disinformation speech in order to convince people to follow them for their own selfish reasons.
We're setting up a situation in which children are going to see peers who have been vaccine damaged as a consequence of the policies that their teachers and their government have forced on them.
How much long COVID in children is acceptable? How much hospitalization of COVID in children is acceptable? How much multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children due to COVID is acceptable? How much death in children from COVID, however small the number may be, is acceptable? Malone is saying that all of those numbers are acceptable in children because he doesn't want them vaccinated. He doesn't want them protected against COVID. He wants it to just all happen on its own. And in reality, we are not even seeing serious adverse effects in children who receive COVID vaccines. These are the slides from a recent ACIP meeting on this topic, and only 8 reports met the CDC working definition for myocarditis. Mind you, this is after over 7 million doses of vaccine were delivered in this age group. And as of right now, it is unclear whether or not these cases of myocarditis were actually caused by the vaccine or were just part of the general background of myocarditis that we would expect to see in a population of that size. And finally, all of the cases that were resolved at the time this report was published were mild, and the patient recovered on their own and were sent home. And so at the end of the day, Robert Malone brings nothing new to the table. Throughout history, throughout every single infectious disease, pandemic, or outbreak.
No, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this!
Polio, through influenza, through HIV. There have always been science deniers who spread disinformation to further their own selfish reasons. And Robert Malone is no different. I said towards the beginning of this video that Robert Malone will be remembered the same way Andrew Wakefield is now remembered. And I stand by that. Andrew Wakefield lied to the public and specifically used children in his scaremongering tactics in order to sow doubt in the MMR vaccine so that he could push his own MMR vaccine that he was developing. Wakefield lied and lied and lied. He faked data, and his motives were clear. It was done out of self-interest. He didn't care about kids, he didn't care about parents, he didn't care about public health. He only cared about furthering his own goals. And I think that Robert Malone is no different. He constantly undermines COVID vaccines and the hospital system while not really caring about convincing his colleagues so much as he cares about gaining a large following behind him so that when he eventually does come out with a COVID treatment protocol plan, people will buy it. Malone will claim that he's not in this for the money or the fame or anything, but I don't buy it. Liars always have a motive, and I think I've shown you quite clearly in this video that Malone is either lying or he doesn't know what he's talking about. Either way, he is not someone you should listen to. He is not someone who deserves a platform like what Joe Rogan has. Joe Rogan has been played, and everybody who believes Malone has also been duped. If you wholeheartedly believe what Malone says, and what I'm saying is upsetting to you, all I ask is this. Take an honest look at the data. Don't just trust me. Look at the data and listen to other scientists and science communicators. Again, so many science communicators were kind enough to help me gather resources so I could quickly make this video. And all of them who wanted to be named are linked in the description below. Please, go check them out. Have an honest challenge to your beliefs because this is important. Public health is life or death. It needs to be thought about carefully. It needs to be considered carefully. You can't just listen to a Joe Rogan podcast and make decisions that are this important. Do the work to look at the data and challenge your own ideas until you don't think you can challenge them anymore. And once again, all of the ad revenue that this video will make will be donated to Save the Children's campaign to offer relief to children who have been affected by COVID. This includes children who have lost their parents to COVID. In addition to the ad revenue that this video will make, I'll be donating some of my own money to this cause as well. So if you want to do the same, I provided the link to donate down in the description. Please consider it. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Disinformation is deadly, and it needs to be fought as much as possible. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Disinformation is deadly, and it needs to be fought as much as possible. And I appreciate your interest in the science, no matter which side you fall on. If you want to follow how much this video makes and how much money gets donated, then I'll be posting that in about a month on either my Facebook or my Twitter.
That's getting demonetized, but... Who? Really? I can't believe that didn't hit me. Thanks, Rito.
I feel like I've outpaced him intellectually.
Showing nothing happened or everything showing.
Oh, she had heal! Why did she save it? Okay. Please come back, bot. Please don't roam all fucking game. Just come bottom and let's get kills. Please stop doing this dumb shit where my support leaves me for the entire fucking game.
Wash's information is deadly and needs to be fought as much as possible.
Hello?
Yo, 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 yo.
Hi, what's up?
Oh, basically, I've got a bunch of angry people attacking me and saying that I'm gonna get banned. I'm like confused. Why am I getting banned, and why are they so mad?
I mean, I don't know why you're getting banned. Or are you?
I agree.
Or do you even think you're getting banned?
I'm worried that I'm gonna get banned because there's so many people saying that I'm gonna get banned. Steven?
Well, I mean, what does that have anything to do with you actually getting banned?
I mean, isn't that how it works? Everyone gets fucking really pissed off and triggered and mad, and then they all report you, and then you get banned.
Not generally. I don't think so. No. But anyway, I mean, I think that you phrase your tweet like in the most, or you phrase your clip in like the most aggressive fucking way possible. No.
Well, okay. The way I should have phrased it, I think what I've okay. So I mean, my take is that the less clothing you're wearing, the more likely you are to get raped.
Okay, so firstly, that's probably not true, right?
What do you mean though? I mean, what do you mean though? Because
So-
I mean, we live in a society. We live in a society.
We do indeed live in a society. I do agree with you there.
Okay, right. And there's rapists and there's murderers. Okay. You'd agree that there's rapists and murderers?
I agree on both of those. Yes. So the way that rape typically happens isn't usually like people are prowling around looking for the most scantily clad woman to rape. Usually they're like rapes of opportunity. So you might be out with a woman, you spike her drink, you might have a friend at your house, you pressure them to sex. Like this is typically how it happens. It's not usually like a selection based on the amount of clothing worn. No.
But that's a very you're just describing variables, right? So I mean, let's just.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is variables for rape don't typically include, I don't think, the outfit of the person, unless that's the only thing they use to even approach somebody for a conversation. But in terms of whether you're going to rape or not rape somebody, I don't think that it's typically the clothing that a person is going to wear.
What about this hypothetical then? What about, okay, you're driving in a car and you're a rapist, right? And you think it's fine to rape people. right? And you see a woman and like walking down a road at like 1 a.m. It's secluded. There's no one else around. Okay, and she's fully clothed. Okay, now exact same situation mirrored, except there's the chick is now naked.
I don't
Who's
know,
more
like,
likely to get raped? Who's
so
more likely to get
I
raped?
understand what you're saying. I understand the hypothetical you're trying to construct. I'm just saying that, like, I don't think that rape typically works this way. Like, there might be some pretty insane hypotheticals we can construct where a rapist is literally driving around looking for the least clothed person possible, and then this variable becomes relevant. But I don't think in general, I don't think this is typically how, like, rape happens. It's a misunderstanding that a lot of people think that, like, rapists are just kind of like out looking for people to rape, and then they find somebody based on some set of characteristics and then they rape them. They're usually more like
I think that
opportunistic.
you're just describing variables, though, right? I think, like, okay, the more secluded it is, that's a variable. Like the time of day, that's a variable, and it's just a set of variables, and this is just one of them.
Yeah, it is, but it's like an incredibly unlikely variable to really, like, factor in, like, how likely somebody is to get raped. It's like almost inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Like, other variables are going to be far, far, far more important.
I would agree with that. What my point is that, like, okay, so rapists are people, or people who sexually assault, like in our brains, like, okay, you see some ass, right, Steven? You see some ass, and you're like, man, I want to slap that ass, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but then it's your girlfriend, yeah. So then, okay, bang, you slap the ass, and it's not sexual assault. Now the rapist sees a woman out in public, and they're in a cafe or something, and they see an ass, and then, you know, whatever, okay, and they're wearing clothing that, like, really accentuates their ass. Yeah.
Okay.
Their trigger of seeing the ass that's, like, exposed, and you can see the undercheek and everything, is going to make them more likely to sexually harass this woman.
Like, it.
Not
Like,
necessarily just rape,
so
just
if
sexual
so if
harassment.
you want to say that, like, the likelihood of getting, like, comments based on what you're wearing, that's probably true, because comments can oftentimes be based on, like,
What about just your ass getting slapped, like physically sexually harassed, like your ass, someone slapping your ass, like someone who's wearing like full-on pants versus someone who's wearing, you know, the pants where, like,
yeah, it might potentially be the case, yeah. But then you also have to understand too that, like, so we can construct some in terms of, like, the chances of somebody slap your ass might vary based on the clothing you wear. Maybe. Again, this is just one variable.
So you would say that we're more likely to get sexually assaulted, like, based on the clothing.
We're talking about ass slapping potentially, but we weren't talking about sexual assault. We were talking about.
Sexual.
We were talking about being
grabbing
raped,
ass,
right?
Like, real. Like, what about grabbing the ass? All of that, just groping some titties. What about just titty groping? Okay, how about that?
I don't think the kind of guy that's likely to walk up and just grope somebody's titties is, like, that concerned with the outfit. It doesn't seem like you see, like, a cleavage outfit and you're like, I just can't resist, like, groping some titties. Like, I think that this is probably somebody that's more prone to do it anyway. But this is let's hold on, wait. The hypotheticals aren't helping. Okay, let's move off the hypotheticals. The biggest problem with what you were saying initially, aside from the characterization that rapes happen because people see somebody based on the amount of clothing they wear, is that it comes off as a little bit like victim blamey.
I mean, I didn't say that though. I said it's more likely. I mean, it might be not statistically. Not
Yeah,
that
and
relevant.
I think there are ways that you can phrase that. I think, but when you use the phrase "you're asking for it," it kind of makes it seem. It kind of makes it seem kind of bad, right?
That was a mistake. I misspoke when I said ask. Well, I mean asking. Well, no, mate. But the thing is, I then went on to elucidate and say, okay,
If any of the
what
women
I meant
on
to
here
say
feel
was
offended by this
you're more
sexist
likely
stuff.
to get raped, like, based on it, like how little clothing you're wearing. Like the least clothes equals more likely to get raped. That was my. And then they still got triggered and they still got mad, and that's why I'm confused.
Wait, okay, say that again.
Like, you're more likely to get sexually assaulted, sexually harassed, raped, but with the less clothes you wear.
We keep conflating rape with these things, and it's a fundamentally different.
Well, no, I should not. We can get rape. It could just be sexual assault, right?
Okay, yeah, we can do that, but you keep saying rape, so I'm saying there's a fundamental difference between some of these things, right?
Well, I mean, it's just a scale. I mean, I don't know. I feel like
No, it's not just a scale.
Like,
I don't think that rape is,
I
like,
think
on a scale from, like, making an inappropriate comment to somebody. I think that some of these are fundamentally different types of actions.
No. Okay, so you start off with, like, verbal sexual harassment, and then you move up to, like, slapping ass, and then you move to, like, groping titties, and then you get to, like, finger in the ass.
No, hold on, no. I think these are fundamentally different types of actions. I think there are a lot of guys that would catcall a girl or would say something rude or inappropriate to a girl that wouldn't necessarily rape a girl. I think that these can be fundamentally different. These are fundamentally different types of things.
Well, I mean, how is it not just a spectrum? I don't understand.
My guess is, I'm gonna make a guess here, and I could be wrong. My guess is you've probably seen a girl before, like in a video game or something, and you've made a comment like, "Oh wow, she looks like really attractive" or something, or "She's hot," or that girl's got a nice ass" or something, right? But just because you made that comment doesn't necessarily mean that you would like, if you saw her, you would also rape her, right?
No, but if I was a rapist, the idea is that like we just say booba, and then except they don't see that like framework that keeps us from, sexually harassing or assaulting or raping, right? We just don't do that, right?
Okay,
you understand
and again,
do I want someone to rape me? I don't want someone to rape me. Like, why would I rape someone else?
I understand what you're saying again. So I think we have to change the framing from thinking of people as rapists. I don't think that's a very useful like description, because that's just not how most people are. They're not like, I'm a rapist. It's more like an opportunity arises in a situation and then somebody like commits a rape. It's not like some people prowl the earth as rapists, like searching for victims. It's that rapes usually happen as a rise of opportunity, and then without somebody having the wherewithal to understand like what responsible behavior is. Or so. I think that's what most rapes result from.
But my point is that the lack of clothing is a trigger for them to then pull the trigger, right, and go ahead. It's like well, you know the emote booba, right?
Yeah, I know the emote booba.
Okay, so the people booba at, I mean that like the second someone's in a bikini, they spam booba.
Yeah, but the problem is like the people get
like a little bit. There's a girl wearing full clothes. They don't necessarily. There's like 1 or 2 boobas.
Sure, I understand.
Primal monkey brain gets triggered, and they're like, oh shit. Fucking titties.
Yeah, there's primal monkey brain that's triggered. That doesn't necessarily make you rape somebody. Also, there's people that get raped in a large variety of clothing as well. Some people get raped and they're not wearing anything provocative whatsoever, right? So I think like even if we say this is a variable, like I don't think it's the most important one. I don't even know if it's a big contributor if we think about how rapes happen. And then the way that it's phrased is in the most aggressive way manner, where it's like like, oh, you're basically asking for it. It's probably like the most aggressive way to phrase that, such that it's gonna like sound really bad probably.
Okay. So, do you think that people wearing booty shorts in like ones, when I say booty shorts, I mean like one, you know what I'm talking about? I don't know if I need to. You've seen.
I know what booty shorts are.
Yeah, like when I'm not booty shorts. I guess like the ones where they see the underbump. Do you think that they're good or bad for society?
I mean, it depends on what your goal is.
Well, I guess, do you think like would you want your daughter to wear them?
It depends on what the context is.
Walking around town.
Okay, let's be, okay, hold on. I'm trying to play League of Legends while playing this. I'm trying not to be mean, okay?
Oh, shit.
If you're in a party environment or something, and people are going out and they're dressed in like a party environment or whatever, then yeah, they're probably gonna wear clothing that's a little bit more revealing than if they're like going to their graduation or going to like their grandmother's funeral or going to like a wedding of a friend. Right? When you ask me to morally evaluate some clothing, I don't think you're asking me about the clothing. I think you're trying to get at a fundamentally different question about like, should people be allowed to wear provocative clothing free of moral condemnation in society? There's like a separate question you're getting there. So when you ask me like, is it good to wear booty shorts? Well, good in terms of affecting some end. If you want to look sexy, then yeah, they're good. If you want to be like a holy Christian in society, then I guess probably not. But I don't know what you're getting at, or I need you to tell me like the deeper thing that you're trying to get at, I guess.
Let's okay, I can use a different example then. I mean, that was kind of a separate thing that I was going to go. That was a tangent. I guess the point that I'm making is that there are variables that will influence things that happen to you, right? So like you can do things that make you more likely to get murdered, right? Or go places. Just like you can do things and go places and wear things, right? That make you more likely to get sexually assaulted. That's what I'm saying, which is triggering everyone as well.
Sure, but I think that like because we always have to look at both sides of these things. When you only play one side too heavily, then it becomes weird what the message is, right? So for instance, would you agree that let me see if we can extract some general logic. So you're saying wearing certain clothes makes you more likely to get sexually assaulted. Therefore, we should avoid wearing certain clothes because we don't want to increase that likelihood of getting sexually assaulted, right?
Well, there's a threshold, right? There's like, okay, there's literally naked, and then there's like Sharia, like what are they, burqas and full on. Like,
but I'm just saying in a general logic sense. Yeah, in a general logic sense, that's kind of what we're getting at, right?
I think it should. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you're more likely to get sexually assaulted based on how little clothing you're wearing, and like, you know, I think that there should be some middle ground, and there's like a line that you cross.
Yes. So, okay. So, let's compare this to cars, okay? Would you agree that, like, the more expensive your car looks or the bigger the stereo you have inside, the more likely you probably are to have it get broken into?
I mean, yeah, for sure. If you have, like, nice shit on the
Sure.
invisible through the
But would we
windscreen,
use this as, like, an argument against getting a nice car? Would we say, like, you should probably not buy nicer cars
100%.
because...
I put my wallet and my headset, I put it inside the compartment, because if I don't, then my chances of my shit getting broken into and stolen is higher.
Sure, but
Just like I lock my doors and I intentionally don't park like it is like a dark park of the.
Sure, there are
chances my car gets broken into.
There are precautions that we can take, right?
Yeah.
But we wouldn't say like, well, don't buy a nice car because it might get broken into. Right? We would never say that. There might be some precautions we can take. And furthermore, if somebody's car did get broken into, we probably wouldn't say, well, you know, you're kind of asking for it. I mean, like, damn, you've got like a fucking really nice, you know.
What do you mean? I would do it. It depends. I would do that.
It would depend. If you're acting incredibly reckless, then maybe. But just having the nice car.
If you park your car and like all by yourself at the back of the parking lot in the dark area where there's no security cameras.
Sure. Yep. Okay, sure.
And
But
you
that is
leave
that.
all
But
your
that.
valuables on the fucking thing.
I'm about to lose my fucking mind.
Like, of course you're gonna get your shit broken into. Like,
Sure.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but we probably would compare that to like more like irresponsible behavior, not just the attire somebody's wearing then, right? So if a girl is running around a bar and accepting drinks from strangers and engaging in a bunch of really risky activity, we'd probably say, okay, well, yeah, I mean, Jesus, like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, holy fuck, this is a really bad idea, right? But just wearing a certain type of clothing, I don't think like warrants the, well, you're basically asking for it remark. Just like having a certain type of car doesn't warrant the, well, it's your fault that it got broken.
Yeah, I obviously I agree rape is bad, and like no one, like, you know, no one should rape.
It's not, well, we're not just talking about like, is rape bad? We're talking about where does the responsibility, we're talking about where does
things that make you more likely for it to happen though.
Sure, but we're not going to outhand avoid every single one of those things. If a woman wants to not get raped, there's a 100% success rate, and that's to stay inside all day and never have a man in the house. Then boom, she'll never get raped ever. But we wouldn't advocate for somebody doing that, right?
Yeah, true.
Okay, so the idea that okay, hold on. So the idea that this will reduce your chance of rape, therefore it is a morally good action to always do this thing, and it's condemnable not to do this thing. We wouldn't say that. We would never say that for anything. So we have to decide is what is a worthy prescription, what is a worthy piece of advice to give somebody that we can morally encourage people to do that both protects you from an action and is something that we ought to encourage because it always reduces negative outcomes or something, right? We wouldn't say don't ever wear these types of clothing because somebody might assault you.
Right? Like that. That's what you, yeah. So, like, what do you mean? See, that way you like, I wouldn't want my daughter wearing booty shorts. Like,
whether or not you want your daughter wearing booty shorts is irrelevant from the conversation. That's a totally different thing.
Well, I'm saying it would reduce their likelihood, and like,
it might. The likelihood is very, very low, though, right? And your daughter might get raped anyway, regardless of what she's wearing. So it's not.
Sure, it'd be measurable. I would argue that it'd probably be measurable.
It's almost certainly not measurable. It's almost certainly not measurable.
You could look at all the people in the world, or no, America, or whatever, who have been raped, and then look at all their clothing and see what they're wearing.
Okay, what else do you want to chat about? I don't know where else to go from here. So what do you think the solution is then? Do you think that women should just never wear provocative clothing?
Do I think they should never wear provocative? Well, to be fair, I actually like naked women, right?
Do you want your daughter to be naked? Well, that doesn't make any sense because you can't. Hold on, wait. Okay, you need to use a consistent frame of reference because in one sense you'll counter a lot of what I'm saying. Well, I wouldn't want my daughter to do this, and I'm saying, well, I really like naked women. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
you need to pick. So you need to pick one perspective. You need to pick one perspective and work from it. Yeah.
That's my okay. So I like naked women that aren't biologically related to me, like within like a few, you know, like okay. I guess once you pass like fifth cousin, we'll say. I think it's, you know, naked woman's good.
Okay.
I mean, you're from America, right? So I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Like maybe you get second cousin or something, like.
Sure. So what is the answer? How much of clothing is acceptable for a woman to wear?
I think covering the genitals, and because like, you know, reproductive organs being covered, and then I think the under ass, you know, the under ass, like that part where you see the, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like
Shut
so
the
covering
fuck up, Movement, alright? It's
the
a
full
stupid
ass,
fucking meme.
right? Covering the full ass in public, the nips, you know, and guys covering their dick completely, and probably, I mean, like, I don't know how do you, what's your take on bulges? I feel like the bulges are a little bit.
We're
offensive.
completely
I feel
off.
like
So women should never wear anything that reveal any amount of like booty cleavage, or like what about boob cleavage? Are all of those outfits off the table now too, or?
you could potentially, I think, boob cleavage. I think cleavage. That's the thing, though. It's like, again, it's a sliding scale. Like the more, I would say, the more cleavage you show, the more likelihood you have of someone sexually assaulting you, right? Like, so I mean, but ultimately you could go full cleavage. We could allow full cleavage, right?
But not booty shorts.
Booty. What's meant to define? I mean, not showing the underbutt.
But booty shorts. So cleavage is okay, but booty shorts are not okay.
Well, you can wear a bikini because a bikini fully covers your booty.
No, what kind of bikini are you
Like,
talking
like,
about?
the ones that go
What?
around. Unless you're using a G-string bikini. Okay, I don't know what we. Okay.
The vast majority of bikinis are going to show far more than booty shorts.
I don't know what bikinis they have there in America.
No, I've been to New Zealand, and I've seen people in New Zealand.
Okay.
The vast majority of bikinis, okay, I've been all over North Island and South Island. Okay, the vast majority of Kiwis that are wearing bikinis are showing, okay, as more in their booty than they are with booty shorts. Okay.
Okay, well let's just say, okay, we'll go bikinis. I mean, covering basically covering the nips and covering the.
Okay, covering the nips. That's a lot of. Are you okay with like side boob and under boob and all that shit now too, or?
Oh, what thing is, I still think the more you show, the more likelihood you have of being sexually assaulted.
That's not what I'm asking you, though. What I'm asking you is.
Yeah, well, so I'd say genitals, right? Genitals and reproductive organs.
But that's not the booty, though.
Including. Well, the booty. But the thing is, if you've got the underbutt, then I just showing. I think your likelihood of getting assaulted is higher, right?
Yeah, but wouldn't you say the same for cleavage?
If you really wanted to, because there's certain context that you want it. Like if you're going to the beach, you want to wear a bikini, right? Like I mean, ultimately.
I don't understand, because it seems like you would say the same is true for cleavage as well. So shouldn't we want people to not have cleavage showing either?
Well, no, but the thing is, like cleavage. I mean, women have boobs, right?
And booties
like,
too, yeah.
They have boobies. Yeah, exactly, right? Just like guys have dicks, right?
Yep.
And I think we should allow. Okay, we should allow. I mean, it shouldn't be illegal, but they should understand the risk. The more they show, the more of a scale. Like the more it's a sliding scale. The more likelihood someone's gonna boob at you will be like, or dog.
Okay, I'll try this.
Slap your ass.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try this one more time. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what you think should be acceptable to wear publicly versus what shouldn't be acceptable to wear. That's all I'm trying to figure out.
Covering genital. Okay, I'll give you a specific.
Don't say the same thing over and over again, because you're.
Okay, covering genitals and nipples. That's what I think.
Okay, then booties are okay. They're back on the menu.
Yeah, they're legally okay. Yeah.
Okay, what about?
Like, I don't want to.
Okay, I'm not talking about legally. I'm talking about morally. We're having a moral conversation about avoiding getting raped. We're not talking about making anything illegal or legal.
Okay, so you're not talking. Okay, I thought you wanted me to do. Okay, so what do I think's okay? Well, the thing is, I think there's no morally. I think there's nothing wrong with boobies and titties and ass. But I'm not a rapist, right? And there are rapists out there, and there are murderers out there, right? Like.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about in this conversation?
Oh shit, man. Well, okay. And another thing, another take that people were getting triggered over was that. Okay, how do I put this? So, booty shorts on people under the age of 18.
Okay. Do you think people under the age of 18 should be able to show cleavage?
Do I think they shouldn't be able to? Wait, so we're saying morally? Morally?
That's what we're talking about, yes.
Well, I mean, of course, I think you should be able to show cleavage, yes. But I think it's it's one of those things where... Okay, so you're walking down the street, Steven, okay? And you see some ass, right? Now you're distant, like you're pretty distant from the person. But you're walking quickly because you're an aerobic walker. And you're getting closer. to the point where you realize, oh shit, what the fuck? This is like teenagers, and this person's like fucking 15. And then you realize you've just looked at like some ass, and you were like booba, and it's like a 15-year-old person. And now you feel disgusting. Because you're like, because that's like, she said, you know. And that situation occurred, right? That situation occurred because they're wearing booty shorts.
Okay, so everybody under the age of majority in your country should wear burqa so that you don't accidentally look at them and think they have a nice booty or booba. What is the prescription? What are we saying should happen?
Well, I mean, yeah, under 18, probably. I mean, I just don't think morally, it's like, what the fuck are people doing? Dude, I'm not even kidding. There are chicks who are like fucking 13 walking around, and like that. I'm not even kidding. They're just covering their nipples and their vagina, and that's it. And they're like fucking 13, and then you see it, and it's fucking. You're like, ah, because from a distance you'd be like, oh shit, booba, and then you're like, ah, what the fuck? And it's like, well, what the fuck? Why are they doing that? How is this a thing? Like, do we not have to draw the line somewhere and be like, dog, if you're like, literally, like, you're fucking 13.
Okay. All right, what else do you want to talk about?
Okay, can you explain to me what's so insane? Like,
the insanity is that you have such a problem staring at every single woman you see, and then you feel disgusted with yourself afterwards for it, that now you want to condemn every single person in society to adhere to unbelievably restrictive clothing standards because you can't help yourself but staring and glaring and gawking at every single potential piece of flesh that might come into your field of vision. That's the problem. That's an insane standard. I don't even know how to engage with that standard. That's like an unbelievable.
Driving past the billboard that says, don't read this billboard. Okay, like, how do you read the billboard with that? Like,
if you walk by a 17-year-old and she's got nice cleavage or a nice booty, then you look and you go, oh, that's nice cleavage or nice booty. And then you keep going on your day. That's it. It's that easy. You don't rape them. You don't try to fuck them. You don't try to groom them. It's really easy.
I'm not trying to do that.
Okay, then in that case, it shouldn't have. It's not disgusting. You see a nice boob or a nice booty, and you're like, oh, it's nice. And then you keep walking. That's it.
13,
Who the fuck cares? You see it, and then you keep walking. You keep walking, and then that's it. It's easy. Just don't rape anybody. It's that easy. Just don't rape people. It's so easy.
Raping is bad. I agree like that. I agree. But what about now? Okay, you're walking past a fucking pedophile rapist, and now you're wearing this shit.
I don't think we should design. I don't think we should. We're not going to design. We're not going to design the standards of society around pedophile rapists. We're not going to do that. That's not a good way to build a society.
I'm like, dude, I'm gonna give my daughters fucking tasers. And I'm gonna be like, there'll be strict limits as to like, dude, okay, if it's 1 a.m., like, you don't go outside, okay?
Because all the rapists are
them to avoid.
Not there at 12:30, like.
Well, you know, whatever. Like, I'm gonna say, like, you know, like, dog. When it's night, like, if it's nighttime.
The problem is you're giving your daughters advice so that they get raped. That is the logical extension of what you're saying. You're leading them right down rape alley because you have no idea how it happens or where it comes from. That's the advice you're giving right now. No, you're not minimizing at all. You have no idea how to address them in a way that will minimize them getting raped. You're probably helping them get raped. You are helping a future potential rapist rape one or all of your daughters, maybe simultaneously. That is the advice you're giving, and that's what you're helping them do. Because chances are, if one of them gets raped, it's going to happen because a friend or a boyfriend or somebody in a setting where you think they might be safe, you think is familiar to them, they're going to do something that's going to result in them. That's where the vast majority of rapes happen. It's not by crazy pedophile rapists running down the street at 1:30 a.m. looking for women without tasers to rape. That's not where rapes come from. That's not where it happens.
I've seen JCS. The guy basically was driving down a road. He saw a woman who looked kind of drunk, and she's wearing scantily clad clothing. And he's like, "Oh shit, I should pick this person up and rape them." And
this is not. Do you think this is the average rapist?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like the average rapist is a person who sees an opportunity after they've had something that triggers them to think like, "Oh shit, I should potentially rape this person." Okay, right. That's you know what they're wearing, and then boom, they act on it.
Okay. Anything else you want to shout about?
I'm not trying to shout. I'm not shouting. I'm okay. All right. So, what do I need to do to not trigger everyone in the future, Steven?
I think you should just be who you are, because it's beautiful. Just do that, be careful, and then have a good time. That's what I would say. Just trigger everybody. Who the fuck cares? Okay.
Dude, that's terrible advice.
Live
Dude,
life
I'm
like a
like
Giga
a
Chad.
bro.
Okay. Be a Sigma male. Just trigger the fuck out of everybody. Who cares?
Oh shit, bro! This is not what I wanted at all. You were supposed to like explain my point in a really succinct way and be like, "Yeah, dude."
That's because you're assuming that I would agree with your point.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so okay, so my point is completely trash then.
Yeah, I would say that.
So okay, so and your take is that okay? I'm not trying to mischaracterize what you're saying. That you're saying that yeah, wearing clothing and like less clothing versus more clothing is a variable. It's just so minor of a variable. It's irrelevant.
Yes.
Okay, and then I think that's where we disagree because yeah, obviously I think it's more of like it triggers the booba and then then it makes him think like, oh, I want to slap that ass, and or like, oh, I want to fucking grab that. Okay, all right, fair enough.
Okay. Anything else, buddy?
All right, I guess I'm gonna get canceled. All right, thanks for. Well, okay, well, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, be a Giga Chad. Say what I've got to say. And wait, and what did you say about 13-year-olds? Like, just look at them and booba, and then what? Just continue on my day.
Just
okay.
move the fuck on. You say like, oh wow, that person's 13. Time to walk away. Wow.
Okay.
Just like that.
Yo, shit. All right, man. Yo, big fan, by the way. I do watch a lot of YouTube videos, and that was very poggy. See, to be fair, the way you were reacting, I was like, wow, this is what he does when he talks to all the stupid people. So that's pretty poggies.
It's okay. At the end of the day, we're all poggies, okay?
Yo, so hopefully we can chat again in the future. It was a pleasure.
Okay. Have fun. Be careful. Stay safe. Okay. Be Sigma. Okay. Okay, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing much. How you doing?
Catching some dubs today?
Yep, trying to.
I pray that you do great. All right, so low-skilled workers.
Yeah.
The AOC tweet. So I think the 2 points to argue here. Number one, I think it's how should this conversation be had? Is low-skill worker accurate to describe these workers? And number two is, does the term low-income, or not low-income, but low-skill worker stigmatize people to the point where they're put into worse conditions, like low incomes and like worse healthcare? So this AOC tweet you reacted to, she was reacting to a tweet from Eric Adams, or not a tweet, but a tweet from what he said in his press conference. So he essentially said, and this is actually a pretty progressive thing that he was trying to get across. He was saying all the big banks need to have their workers in person. We cannot do remote working because we have all these low-skill workers out here like cooks, messengers, and Dunkin' Donuts employees that don't have the academic skills to sit in a corner office. That was actually a pretty progressive thing, you know? You bank workers, you office workers, you don't have to face the pandemic. You get to sit inside. Why are you working from home? Meanwhile, all these poor workers are working. I don't think he said that right. So AOC reacted to that tweet by saying, the suggestion that any job is low skill is a myth perpetuated by wealthy interests to justify inhumane working conditions, little to no healthcare, and low wages. Plus, being a waitress has made me and many others better at our jobs, now that they've known that life. And you said, low skill just means that anyone can be trained for the job with relative ease, and the worker is replaceable with any other, and they can also be replaced relatively easily. This is a real thing. Acknowledge reality, please. I appreciate the sassiness. That really got across pretty well. I wanted to ask you first what your relation to these terms are, because you said before that you your two jobs, you said something about a casino, right? And what was the other one?
My first job was a paper boy. Then I worked at I did janitor work at my high school, and then I was a McDonald's employee for a while. And then I was kind of like a front of house, back of house person at a casino restaurant. And then I became a supervisor at the restaurant in a casino.
All right, and do you think
then I did
all
carpet
those
cleaning.
jobs? Do you think like all those jobs fit into the same category of like low skill?
Yeah, relatively. Anybody with no education could pick up the vast majority of the skill set in a week or two. If I would get fired, it's pretty easy to find a person to replace me. Little education requirement, yeah, low barrier to entry.
Do you think there is some type of skill that workers get, like if you're a waitress or if you're working at a casino, and you're like, oh, this is going to be rush hour, how do I navigate this? Or do you just think that's kind of like something that anybody can sort of do?
Anybody can pick it up. I mean, maybe not anybody. If you've got like severe anxiety or some shit, maybe not.
Okay. So the terms I use to discuss labor, if you want to use the really technical way, and if you don't care about the societal impact of what rhetoric you're going to be using, I would say, and tell me if you disagree, I would say that low skill should be referring to people who are literally doing pure manual labor. This is literally pick stuff up, put stuff down. A lot of farm workers would be considered in this category of low skill labor. If you look at the Department of Labor, they would actually consider jobs like being a waitress, being a food worker, especially in New York City when you're delivering food. It's pretty crazy there, especially during the pandemic. It's hard to do that effectively, to do that job very well, to be a waitress and to know who your customers are, to get the food out quickly and to have that whole cohesiveness with your unit too, you know, cooks and everything.
Everything
that
you just described is pretty easy. You learn it in about a week.
In about a week. So you think somebody can come in a week and do just as good as a waitress that's been working for 2 years on a job at a restaurant?
Just as good, maybe not, but yeah, I think you could pick up the vast majority of the skills in like a week. You'd get like 85% of the way there, and then maybe over a month you can like refine it, sure.
Do you think having to see people and work directly with people every single day for like, for example, if you work at like McDonald's, you're on your feet for 8 hours a day, you're in hot weather, you have to deal with a bunch of really, I would have to say unpleasant people, I'd assume. Do you think that's some type of a skill that would put you above low skill?
No, it's all, anybody can learn this. Anybody can learn to work in a hot climate. We're all human beings. We all have the same biological foundation.
Anything. But we're talking
No,
about
hold on. I'm using a very specific set of words here, okay?
Okay.
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 Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
I know.
Do you think it would be easier for me to train somebody to be a good waitress or a good quantitative analysis that works at a Wall Street hedge fund?
Well, of course it would be easier to do one versus the other. But
Okay, do you think that it would be quicker to train somebody to be a banker, somebody that works intimately in the banking industry, or a banker or like a customer service person that manages accounts and shit at a bank, or somebody to be a dishwasher?
Well, it would take more training to do any job that requires working with people, working with a complex system, working with numbers.
Okay, these are generally considered high-skilled jobs. The employees are a little bit less easily replaceable. The amount of training tends to be far higher. Okay, that's what a high-skill versus a low-skill job means. So you agree that that's a real thing, you just don't like the word that it's called.
Yeah, I think the word that it's called has bad connotations.
So instead of trying to argue that it's not a real thing, try to argue that it's a real thing, but you don't like the terminology. Okay,
that would be really precise.
No. It's not about being precise.
Semi-skill. It would consider it semi-skill.
Then everything. No. Hold on. One of the highest skill things you do is walking, but nobody calls it high skill because everybody learns how to walk. Okay, that doesn't make it a high. Like, these are the words that everybody's familiar with. Everybody immediately knows what these things mean. To deny that there's a differentiation between high skill and low skill labor because you don't like the words is silly. Now, if you want to say these words hurt my feelings, or I want to use a different word for some reason, that's fine. But like, don't try to obfuscate with these weird, like, well, every job is hard and every job has skill. Sure, but some are obviously harder to train into than others. This is just, everybody in society knows this.
With the technical definition, I would say that jobs that require no high school degree and no understanding of how people work, like picking up boxes or like working in a field, that is a lot different from a job that mostly requires a high school degree, which would be considered semi-skill when you're being a waitress, when you're working in jobs, when you're working as a bank teller.
If you want to break out low-skill workers...
You don't need to be in the analytical department to have some type of skills.
If you want to break out low-skill workers into semi-skill workers and low-skill workers, you can. Nobody is going to have any idea what the fuck you're talking about because nobody in the real world uses these terms. But if you want to break it out into that, then by all means, knock yourself out.
So I guess we can move into the terminology. And what we should be using, what words we should be using to discuss this. And No Opinion on Twitter had a tweet. He said, the terms low-skilled and high-skilled are insulting, yes. but somebody give me a better way to say possessing skills that command a high premium in the labor market versus not possessing such skills, without typing those phrases out every time. Now, Eric Adams here, mayor of New York, when he's talking about workers that need to be frontline during the pandemic, instead of saying low skill, he could probably just say food service workers, home health care workers. He could say people who work in manual labor, because that's what it is. It's manual labor. And people are already disincentivized from doing low labor work in America, and I can send you numbers if you want me to, because the paradox is, the more education you have, like me, for example, I'm about to finish my master's in public policy. The more education you have, you're going to be working in an office. You're going to have a less physically demanding job, and likely a less mentally demanding job, because physiological weighs into the psychological. But if you're going to be somebody who doesn't
just
have
real
any
quick, you're playing
education-
word games right now when you say that, right? Less mentally demanding because the physiological way, you're playing like word games, right? If you want to say like less mentally demanding because it's hard to like be poor, then I guess like McDonald's has the highest physiologically demanding and mentally demanding job, because you have to know that you're a McDonald's worker while you're doing it. You're playing word games when you do this. If you want to play word games, you can play word games. But at the end of the day, that initial tweet from the Adam Schiff guy stands 100%. Some skills are more in demand than others because it's very, very, very easy to learn some skills and it's very difficult to learn others. That is just absolutely true.
But one of the reasons right now in America, the labor crisis is with low-income positions is largely because people have these positions as stigmatized in Americans' heads. And that's also one reason.
No, that is
100, I'll send
absolutely...
you.
Sure. This is why I don't like the path that you're going down, is because it leads you to fundamentally... You're working a master's in public health policy or whatever. What'd you say? And you think the reason people don't work some of these lower-paid jobs is because there's a stigma around them?
That's 100% one of the reasons. I know... Okay.
Well, one of the reasons...
Of course, there's one of the reasons. There's not one defining reason for
okay,
why
the
anything
massive,
happens.
overwhelming reason is probably going to be because our labor force participation rate is declining. We don't have that many people willing to work these low-wage jobs. Our unemployment is less than, I think, 4.5% right now. And our labor force participation rate is starting to fall pretty substantially as boomers enter retirement. It's not because these jobs are stigmatized. If you start calling McDonald's wage earners high-skilled laborers, people aren't going to be clamoring to earn $11.50 an hour flipping burgers at McDonald's.
You don't call them high-skilled, but you don't
whatever
call them low-skilled.
like friendly word that you want to use to talk down to people that are working at fucking McDonald's, you can use whatever word you want, but it's not going to incentivize people to work these jobs because we're reducing the stigma around it. The stigma doesn't exist because of how we talk about it. The stigma exists because they're not earning much money, because they're selling labor that doesn't have a very high value.
Okay. I would argue that there is a stigma around it. I personally know people who make less money than some McDonald's workers. They complain about the McDonald's workers making more money. For example, somebody that works at a pharmacy counting pills behind the counter. There's a lot less stigma associated with being, and anybody in your audience, if they're being honest, they'll agree that there's some stigma associated with being a Walmart or a McDonald's worker versus something else that's more private, that you don't have to be wearing a McDonald's uniform, talking to people in your own community. That is something that people do not want to be a part of.
Sure, but but not because, I don't think it's just because it's a McDonald's worker. It's because of what it represents. And our society that highly values consumerism, that highly values the amount of money you make, the success that you have in life, which is only measured through the acquisition of like fucking more capitalist goods, then the reason why these jobs are looked down on is because you're not earning very much money. And then people are like, oh, I don't want to be that guy that works at McDonald's and can't pay for my kids' college, or can't go on vacation in fucking Disney World, or whatever fucking shit people like to do with their money.
I'm talking about a very slight rhetorical shift that might aid, one variable that might aid in destigmatizing certain kinds of work. Food service work, I think that's a fine way to describe it. If you have somebody that you know that's very smart, you can call them very smart, and that's fine. That is great. You're encouraging them to do better. But if you have a friend who is not very smart, you probably shouldn't go up to them and say, hey, idiot. Just because they're the lowest common denominator doesn't mean you need to call them that, because the positions they're in, they don't want to be in that position. And people don't want to work these jobs that have the highest demand right now in our labor economy. And I can send you this data if you want to look over it. Low-income jobs are largely just viewed as jobs for immigrants. I think the numbers are 3 out of 4 farm workers in the U.S. Are immigrants. Americans don't want to get caught doing these jobs, even if, and I'd have to go further on data for that, but I could do that at a later point if you want. Even if they will be making more money, taking these stigmatized positions, they don't want to do it.
So let's flip this. So you think that if people you think that if all else equal, if people were like, oh, being a McDonald's worker is cool or whatever, that people would want to do it? That people are like, oh, actually, I'm happy now being a McDonald's worker because we don't call it low skill anymore. We call it semi-skilled.
I'm not saying it's going to make them feel good about it, but it's going to aid in the social cohesion of what that job is.
Okay, hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait. Okay. I'm a smart person and I know what these words mean, okay? So you're not going to just pull euphemistic bullshit over me, okay? When you say aid in the social cohesion of these jobs, you're saying make them feel better. And normal people talk, in non-academic language. That's what you're saying, right? So I'll repeat this again, and without trying to like parse it through how you would write a school paper, okay? Respond to me, right? So you're saying, okay, that, or if I'm misunderstanding you, then rephrase it, okay? Or tell me I'm wrong. You're saying that if we call these jobs not low skill, but something different, you're saying that people will have a better feeling about these jobs, about the jobs they're working, all else equal.
All right. If make people feel better, you sometimes have better outcomes, or I can't use the word outcomes.
What are better outcomes? Like they'll feel better about their McDonald's job because we call them semi-skilled workers.
Or people will have more, I don't want to use the word empathy. That sounds too I don't know.
Okay.
College or whatever.
You want? Okay, I understand your college. I understand your problem, okay? This is how I felt, okay? And you know what? Maybe I was wrong, okay? Maybe I was wrong, okay? Whenever I walked into my shit-ass fucking $5.25 an hour McDonald's job, and I would see a sign on the wall that would say like, hey, appreciate our workers, blah, 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 blah. You know what I would think every single time? And I might just be a fucking sociopathic retard. Maybe I was, okay? But when I would see signs like that, you know what I think? Like, if you like me more, fucking pay me more. I don't give a fuck if you call me a shift lead or like a, they had all these euphemisms at McDonald's for like high achieving fucking, I don't remember, there were so many dumb words. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And everybody just refers to it and they, oh, that just means you're a supervisor. Oh, that just means you're a shift lead. Not like a team captain or whatever other bullshit they're trying to, right? If you want it more, if you want to make people feel better about it, then pay them more. I don't need the fucking signs or what happens. Now, maybe that's just me, but my guess is going to be that the reason why people are so upset about these positions is just because it doesn't enable them to do very much in life. They don't get paid very much. They end up like having shitty outcomes related to how much they get paid. And that's why people are upset, not because of what people call their job titles. That's my guess. I could be wrong, but that would be my guess.
I don't necessarily or completely disagree with anything you said. I do think AOC being, I guess, yeah, she's definitely a leftist, anti-capitalist. I don't know if she really says that as much as like a Bernie would because she's trying to actually be more popular. But I think it is a miscalculation to focus too much on what people are called, but I also don't think it's a fight that's not worth having whatsoever. If people do have more understanding of, hey, these jobs are actually something that's important. If we want to place the word essential workers on people to give them more value, then I can understand why.
But here's the problem is the roads that it's leading you down, the erosion of your mind, is because now we've got phrases like, oh, well, these are essential workers. Well, an essential worker needs an essential pay. Not if the job is something that every single person in society can do. We need to have a different mechanism by which people like this are taken care of, because it's not going to be via just like fucking, like, oh, we're going to magically pay you $1 million to be a fucking McDonald's worker or a garbage can delivery person. We need another mechanism in society by which to take care of these people. These wages are going to be magically boosted because people that are working on their masters in public policy on Twitter are trying to call them a different name. Because everybody on the ground knows the reality that anybody can train to be a McDonald's employee, not anybody can train to be doing something in an office job that somebody would pay you to do. That's the issue, I think, is that it's causing people to lose what is actually important in these conversations.
I think this can be aided, what she's trying to accomplish with what she's saying. It can be aided by a tighter labor market where it isn't just like, hey, we're going to have somebody else replace you the moment you walk out the door, because people don't want to typically do these jobs. And it's probably going to be fluctuating based on the area, of course. If you have a high population area, you're going to be able to find replacement workers a little bit easier than if you're in like a
No, it's not. Hold on, no. You're obfuscating. It's not about being in a higher or low population. It's that some jobs, even with the same type of population, are going to be easier to find replacement works than other jobs. That's the point. No matter where you are, it's probably always going to be easier to find a McDonald's worker than somebody that can like run an office job.
But right now, post-pandemic, the biggest deficit is in the low-skilled jobs, as they would say.
Yeah, but not big enough that they're boosting the wages to overcompensate the middle-class fucking working shit. It'll happen, or these like companies will start to cease to exist.
Well, I'd have to do more research.
Research on what? What point of that? Unemployment is very low. You agree? Hold on. You agree that the unemployment is very
wage boom post-pandemic has been blue-collar jobs.
Sure, which is good, which is what you would expect to see. Yeah, sure. So wages will rise eventually. Or some companies are not going to be able to. There are going to be some companies that probably can't exist at a certain wage. That'd be my guess. McDonald's probably doesn't exist as a company if they're paying their employees $25 an hour, right?
Exist as a company?
As in, it wouldn't be a viable model. Like, people probably wouldn't buy cheeseburgers for $15 a cheeseburger or whatever. If you have to pay, like, huge wage. There's going to be some number that wages can rise to for some companies. McDonald's can probably afford to pay a few more dollars an hour. We've seen that. This is borne out in a few studies where certain restaurants will raise their wages or minimum wage will go up. They can do it. But there's going to be some number where some companies are no longer competitive or no longer viable. People won't buy their products because of how much you have to increase final cost to the consumer because you're increasing your cost of production, right?
Yeah, if they keep their current margins. I know I'm paying $8 for a Big Mac right now, so they better start paying their workers a little bit more. If I
Sure, current margins. The margins for the average business is very low. The margins for most companies in the United States are incredibly low. I think it's around 7% is the average margin.
All right, sure. Let's just go back over the two disagreements, and we're not going to agree on this. How should we talk about this? Do you think it can help at all if, like, he came out instead said, hey, we have food service workers who are responsible for delivering food around the city during the pandemic. We have blue-collar workers. We have home healthcare workers. A lot of, like, for example, this is what one of the reasons I care about, not necessarily for fast food workers, but like in Pennsylvania right now, one of the lowest paid working forces is actually at-home care and nursing home workers, and they get paid like $10 to $12 an hour, and their job is literally to change old people and to wipe their asses. And the idea that they don't get enough support through policy, I think you can make the argument that if more people say, hey, these jobs are demanding in some sense, maybe they're not high skill in education, but they are demanding in hours and manual labor. That's why I want to call these manual labor jobs as well, because manual labor is a big stress on people and their livelihood.
Okay, here's the problem.
Okay,
the issue right now that you're running into, that you're just not understanding, or maybe you do understand this, okay? You are not compensated for how onerous or difficult the work is. You're compensated based on how many other people possess your skill set and how in demand that skill set is. That's where your wages come from. So just going out in public and saying, guys, this work is really hard, is going to have zero impact on those wages. You have to understand that.
If you're talking about wages that are set not by a market, but set by a government job. So for example, like a children and youth worker, they have to fight really hard for wage increases. A lot of their jobs, and it's mostly women who are social workers, they have to go into the homes often, or they have to talk to the parents who actually abuse their children. I don't think it's understood by people enough how important that job is. When you're setting prices, when you're demanding price increases, or not price increases, my bad. When you're demanding wage increases as somebody who is paid by the state or paid by the government, it's a little bit harder because you're not being set by a market.
Sure,
price.
This is a minority of the job market, and we're talking about something fundamentally different than the original topic now.
But we're still talking about the terminology of using low skill to define these things.
If you just call it semi-skilled or whatever, it's not going to mean the government is all of a sudden going to want to pay them way
I know.
more.
I said alternate words: food service workers, blue collar workers.
Okay, hold on. Now we're going back to the other topic. Instead of talking, if you're talking about bargaining against the government for wages, that's a fundamentally different thing than the other conversation that we were on.
But if a politician is going to vote to allocate funding for something, it might be better if people are going to say to that politician, "This is an issue I care about." No,
I think we can care. This is my issue. This is my problem with you guys. Okay. You can care about low-skill workers. You don't have to lie to people and treat them like retarded children to pretend to give a fuck about them, right? If a guy works at McDonald's, he knows that his job is shit. He knows that his skill set isn't very in demand. You don't have to treat him like a retard and be nice to him. It's like, oh no, bro, like I totally get that your job is really hard. Just say like, hey, we're either going to guarantee a higher minimum wage for you. We're going to have some type of UBI for you. We're going to increase like tax like incentives or whatever. We're going to increase the child tax. Like these are the things that you do to help people. Not talking down from the ivory tower and pretending that a guy that works a shit job who knows it's a shit job isn't working a shit job. And it's actually an incredibly amazing position that, wow, being a McDonald's fast food technician that's simultaneously involved with technically operating the machinery in a kitchen in order to optimally serve food that's prepared in a concise manner to customers is just like a fucking burger flipper, okay? They don't need that. I don't think anybody wants to hear that. If you can provide material benefit, do it, but we don't need the euphemistic treadmill to make it sound better and better and better than it actually is.
What I'm saying, the political power, you said something about a UBI, which is very, very costly. To get the power necessary to say to people, we need to increase your taxes to pay for this, it's not gonna help if they look at workers as low-skill workers. If we're saying, hey, and we have this issue in all across the country with paying firefighters. I came on here a long time ago. I was terrible in that conversation, but we don't pay firefighters in America. Some fire departments need to get paid because they don't have any firefighters in certain areas. We have to ask people to pay a fire tax for that, and in order to get people to pay a fire tax, to pay higher taxes to support firefighters, or if you want to support workers through UBI, if you want to support home healthcare workers, in order to get them to be willing to say, hey, a bigger part of my paycheck is going to go to this, it's good to say, hey, I value, or it's good to get people to value the work that's being done through. It's hard work, it's manual labor, it's not skilled, you know, we know it's not skilled. We know they're not gonna be working in offices, we know that. I'm not gonna treat anybody like a baby, but I don't think it's really that big of a stance to say we can just make this tiny shift in rhetoric. Not because we're gonna say to people, oh, don't feel bad about it, we love you. I love, dude, you made such a good, dude, those fries, those were banging. It's not for that, it's for people who are gonna be actually voting on if we're gonna make people's livelihoods better. I think that's the overall argument there.
Okay. Anything else, buddy?
No. I don't know. Good luck playing League. Thanks for having me on again. If anybody, I don't really make videos anymore, but I'm Jola on YouTube. JOLAH. Yeah. I know you said you people a lot during this. It's kind of racist. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, I'm not like a leftist or anything. I do work in like public policy stuff. I know you're a little heated up, but I think if you ever have other policy discussions, we could have some good combos on that and political communications and all that. But anyway, have a good rest of your day, man. Thank you.
I love you. Be careful, buddy. Okay. I'm a firefighter, and here we top out at 90K in Colorado. Blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, I don't know. Firefighter, maybe in other areas, firefighter is like a. Are you fucking serious? Maybe firefighter means something different, but in I know in Omaha we always complained that firefighters got paid way too much. The reason why people complained about firefighters all the time in Omaha was because now be careful, I don't know if this is the same everywhere, so this might not be the case, but the reason why people complain about firefighters in Omaha all the time was that typically when firefighters are working, they're on call. And a lot of these firefighters would work 2 jobs at once while they were on call. So they'd be like managing their businesses and shit from the from like their firefighter like station, and they're just sitting there doing nothing because they're not getting a call or whatever. Now I don't know if that's the case everywhere, but I know that in our city, citizens were getting mad as fuck because we're paying a decent sum of money to these people. But a lot of them are just like are like making bank doing it. Where I live, firefighters are volunteers. Yeah, it was the same in all. I think, are most firefighter squads volunteer? I don't think volunteer means you don't get paid. That just means that you're not like, or I don't, there's no way. Oh my god, you're super dead. Ah, fuck. That's 100% true in Alberta, Canada. Nice. Absolutely crushed. Oh, we're gonna stay? We're gonna overstay? I love it. I love overstaying. Sounds like all these talking points come from people who've never worked a working class job and project what they think is useful. Yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong. I haven't been working like a normal job in a long time. But I remember, like, from my experience, like, we would always, like, laugh at, like, signs like that or stupid shit that tried to make it sound like, you know, like working class work was, like, so glamorous, or, like, you know, you're not a fast food worker, you're a food technician and shit. We would all just, like, make fun of it. Like, if I'm a food technician instead of a burger flipper, then pay me like a technician, you know? It's like, well, hold on, let's just, you know, we're using nice words, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that we're gonna pay you more, but we're very grateful for your service, okay?
I feel like I've outpaced him intellectually.
Why does Vosh keep saying that to me? Every time he says it, I get so mad. Oh, I'm reliving the trigger every time. Okay, well, I'm dead. Oh my god, I'm not dead. That shield. Okay. Damn, does Lux have like hardcore AP scaling? Is there a way to see on this ability? It's not 1-to-1, is it? Hold shift? Oh, Jesus, that's insane. Oh, 120 plus 70%. Jeez, cool. Good. Whoops. It's time. Oh! Oh, baby! Oh my god. Oh, wait, did she get W'd? I thought we were just gonna win that. I didn't have my brain on or anything. I could have done my E. I don't know if that would have made a difference. I think Jinx got a Lulu W though. Bitch. Oh! I'm ready, my master.
Hello, Destiny. I am a sandwich archbishop. At Wendy's making 13.75 an hour. And then down bad. I need about 5k to buy a car to go to work, but everyone keeps telling me they appreciate me rather than paying me. And I get 5k.
Based.
The dollar
Got him.
Stupid fucking meme.
Most fire departments are volunteer, but also have a paid on-call system if they're a combination department. Another thing to consider is most fire departments also run EMS as well, which are the vast majority of calls, which include a lot more education.
Cool. Uh-oh! Oh no! Oh, with the big... Oh, Jinx from downtown! What? I didn't want either of those. I do want this one.
Is it better change the term to describe this jobs to raise awareness that this job may deserve a higher pay, or should we shame customers of these business because they actively support these low wages, or should we keep it and exploit?
You should ask your mom what she wants to do. Because goddamn, is she a fine ass bitch. Awkward. Fuck! I tried to throw my shield. I shouldn't have. I should have just ulted. That's enough for you to win the entire game right there. What is Anna crying about?
Victimizing me by slandering me. And they need to stop. They need to correct it. That it was wrong to call me a stalker. And it was really massively fucked up. They should lose their platforms for that. No, I feel empathy for him. I feel a ton of empathy for him. I understand him. I understand that he doesn't feel... I understand that he doesn't have a heart and he doesn't feel. And
wow.
He doesn't care about anyone but himself.
A lot of empathy there.
Acquired. No, I feel a ton of empathy. I have a fuckload of empathy. A fuckload of empathy. I feel guilty whenever I know that I've hurt someone. I feel really bad. Because he is a monster. He's a heartless monster.
Oh.
Because he gets, he finds it amusing when someone's in pain. And I don't ever feel that way. I don't ever feel amusement at someone's pain. But he laughs at it. So does Melina. They laugh at people's pain. And that's what monsters do. Well, I do have a ton of empathy. And that's all I've heard all my life. That I have a ton of empathy.
You got that kill at least.
Because they couldn't pay rent because it caused so much anxiety. Oh no, I'm sorry, Iron Q. What do you mean you've gotten so dysfunctional? I'm the one that has lies spread about me. And it's caused me severe trauma. To have lies spread about me. And have people believing things that I never did.
Acquired.
Like... I don't know. You try having people... Did you watch his stream before you met him? No, I never did.
She's lying! She's tweeted about me! Well, maybe she's seen me on other people's streams
well, Destiny
then?
needs to admit that he lied about me. He needs to admit
Actually
that he
lying.
lied. Or else I will keep complaining about this. Because it's not right. He slandered the fuck out of me. He was abusive to me by saying that, like, oh, I don't understand psychology.
She doesn't.
Trump low-skilled workers are great for country and my companies.
Like,
great legal
or that,
immigrants.
like, I'm not going to be a good therapist
She
and
wouldn't
stuff.
be.
Like, those are horrible fucking things
That's just
to
true.
say about someone. That was so abusive that he said those things about me on stream. Like, holy fuck, you horrible person. Like, how dare you? How dare you try and gaslight me
So much
into
fun.
thinking? Words hurt.
Where does Yi appear when he alpha strikes you? Is it always in a certain area so that I know where to Q? Like, Zed always appears behind you. There's no way. Always on target? No, like, does he appear, like, behind you, in front of you? Is there some way, or... On the... I'm not saying... He doesn't appear on top of you. I think it's always... It's got to be, like, to the side or some shit or whatever.
Any day. Oh, let me change this timeline.
9 and 1 Yi. Who do we have to stop him? Basically,
That's nice,
just
I'm
me.
not like that. I can't get over it. Like, I will keep remembering the the nasty things people said about me. At least if you get punched, everyone is on your side. Right, exactly. But when it's emotional abuse, because you don't see the bruises or anything.
Nice.
Target acquired.
The, like, words hurt way worse.
Words
in
are
my
way
opinion.
worse than bruises, for sure.
Those bullets were a metaphor for something. Take your time.
I also have struggled with paying my rent this month. Twitch has been super stressful. My landlord literally fell into my pool the other day after trying to catch some animal, and blamed me for it. I don't know where compassion has gone during COVID. Everyone's kindness has gone up in the air, offline and online.
So many memes.
Hey, Hey, wait, Gappy, I've got an issue with you. You implied in one of your streams that I wasn't gonna be a good psychologist or therapist. Why the fuck do you think that's okay to say? Why would you think that's okay to say about me?
The enrichment
You think
center
you know
is
more?
required to remind you that you will be baked, and then there will be cake.
Do you think you know? Are
Yes!
you gonna be like Destiny and like act like you know and like try and gaslight me and act like
No!
you know more than like my master's program advisors and professors who rate me as being really knowledgeable on psych terms and everything, and I've never once heard from anyone except my abuser.
What is this, a colleague can't do anything?
Psych terms, because that's not.
Wait,
something
why does she
that
do
anyone
no
has ever-
damage? She's got two. Wait, what happened?
I feel like I've outpaced him intellectually.
She got. Oh, was it Lulu W?
I never did anything like that.
Okay.
Never sent. You don't like. First of all, you don't send like letters. Like sending handwritten letters and showing up to someone's house is absolute stalking behavior. Hi, Onion. I've had really bad problems remembering what done to me. I had to really ghost in person. I literally took doing so before my mind finally cleared up enough to see things clearly and finally. Yeah, sometimes you. Well, yeah. Sometimes you have to cut them out. Yeah. Not to be mean, but you say things like that. I'd rather get punched in the face. That's what most abuse victims actually say.
Master of turn stank memes.
Did you know that?
Those bullets were a metaphor for something. Take your time.
Hold on. I'm turning that off. Like, because I said it's in my
We've got you
opinion.
surrounded. It's
Don't
time
forget.
for your 10-hour league stream.
I hate the Antichrist, I hate the Antichrist, I hate the
unfortunately,
Antichrist, I hate the Antichrist, I hate the Antichrist, I hate the Antichrist, hell.
And like, it won't go away. I just want the slander to stop. But like, you know, people lie and say that I like am the stalker.
Molly! Oh, he's trolling.
Yeah, but I've already done therapy. Like, I've already done counseling. Like, I've already done it. And, I mean, I got positive feedback. But also, Iron Q, yeah, like, sometimes ghosting is necessary. Especially if it's, like, someone who's being abusive to you.
Bro, start ghosting the abusers.
Oh, Merle's here. Merle, shut up. I don't even get the push-up
Yeah,
button.
but that's like not what I did. I didn't like write him DMs saying about my love, my undying love and stuff for him, right? I didn't do that because that is stalker behavior. I was attempting to get my abuser to like stop harassing me. I was backed into a corner. I was victimized so severely and I didn't know what else to do. And I was scared of him. So you have to look at the context. It's so much better if you just let it go and stop talking about it. But yeah, he did abuse me. It's
Wait, this volley's
it's
bragging about.
textbook
Wait, I'm not even
definition of
watching this.
emotional abuse,
Wait,
what
why are
he
they
did to
talking
me.
about me?
Yeah, female abuse victims actually say that, they usually say that, that the emotional abuse was worse than the physical abuse. No, therapy isn't really ever done when it comes to trauma. Also, I literally have to work on this in therapy right now. Like, I'm literally having to go through my abuse experience with Destiny in therapy right now. So Destiny should be paying my therapy bills because he's the one that literally caused this.
Ironically, thought everyone
that I
was
need
sweat
this
spinning me
therapy
because
now,
RTBA was about to
because
ban
I
me.
literally have to talk
So I
about
muted
it
myself.
caused me trauma
-5.
and emotional abuse. It literally caused me trauma, and now I have homework that I have to work on because of his fucking abuse against me. And all the ways that, and the people who like made it worse by telling me I wasn't abused. Like, don't ever tell someone they weren't abused because like, you're gonna exacerbate their PTSD. Don't interrupt me.
Oh, Merle interrupted. Uh-oh.
Other Anna, I have a question. Sure. What's your question, Other Anna? Sorry, I didn't mean to yell. Sorry.
Poor.
Okay, we just had to break the loop.
Poor Merle. Oh no.
Well,
Baby
why
voice.
Can't he break
Somebody
the
wrote
fact
something
that-
interesting that like the reason why some people that are like histrionic or borderline will talk in baby voice is because they think it garners sympathy for them. So they present themselves like, oh, I just sometimes I don't like this, right? Because it
Here's
makes
my
it seem
damn
like,
fun
oh, I can't
fact.
do anything wrong.
That like, oh, but I sent him a lot of DMs. Yeah, because he was fucking terrifying me, you pieces of shit.
So, Frills, do you believe there's something wrong with him?
Who, Destiny? Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with him.
I thought she didn't pathologize though.
I mean, I tried to fix his ass.
But is it your job to fix him?
No.
There you
He
go.
needs to fix his own fucking self. His own damaged self.
I feel like I've outpaced him.
This is the last time I get involved with
Hey,
damaged
Destiny,
goods, dude.
could you watch and comment
Damaged
on these
goods.
2 bits?
Damaged goods. Isn't that a little bit kind of a weird way to refer to something?
Fuck him. It's not focusing on his problems. He's inflicting this onto me. Why can't he say that he lied? Why can't he just say that? He knows. I have the DMs of him literally admitting that he just called me a stalker when he felt attacked because he has a huge fucking ego.
True.
Why can't he admit that he lied? Huh? Why can't he do that? This could be over if he just did that.
Could be.
And he told like LSF to stop like calling me a stalker and stuff. I provided the proof that he emotionally abused me.
True.
But you're not gonna get him to stop, so you have to try to find other ways to...
Well, why is he so fucking unstoppable and so abusive? Why is he so horrible?
True.
That's up to his therapist to work on with
He
him.
won't see a therapist. I tried to convince him, but he won't fucking see one. He absolutely refuses to go to
True.
therapy.
Absolutely true.
But even if he's seeing a therapist, you're not his therapist, so it's not up to you to try to figure it out.
Oh, cool. We're all dead.
I know. But I want him to stop calling me a stalker. It's not right. These people
Didn't know
act
another
like
game with
I
more in
like
me. You
did
break it, you
anything
buy
other
it.
than just
You
try
think
to
your
get my
therapist is
abuser
in the
to stop
walls.
harassing
Oh,
me.
Nice!
Stop, like,
oh,
making private shit
oh,
about me. Like, what are you supposed to do?
oh.
Like, what are you supposed to do?
Can we control other people?
Yeah, he did abuse me, Chico. He emotionally abused me. I showed proof of it. No, he didn't agree to do therapy with me. He
Target
lies. He's a
acquired.
fucking
Time
liar,
to
and he says
activate cry to
different
win
things in
mechanism.
private than he does publicly. And you need to stop believing him. He's a repeated liar.
Repeated liar.
Activated.
I don't
Nice.
think anyone thinks he's innocent. I mean, it's pretty obvious how fucking abusive he was to me. He was so horrible to me. It caused me so much pain and stress. Like, it caused me so much stress the way he treated me. I've never been treated so horribly in my life by someone.
True.
I've never been treated so fucking horribly
True.
by anyone like that. Also, thank you for the 100 bits.
The arc that
Nobody's
never
nuking
ends.
shit.
I feel like
How
I've
did I
outpaced him
stalk him?
intellectually.
Oh yeah, because stalking is talking to political streamers that he stretches the truth, and this is how manipulative he is. Because he stretches the truth and
True.
like he'll call someone like his friend
I
even though
don't
he's
believe
not
in
really
the
friends with them.
Antichrist. Don't call me princess.
But they're just an
I don't believe in
orbiter.
the
Because he's fucking like dysfunctional like that and doesn't know what real friends are.
True.
Fuck him.
True.
Gonna slander me? Fuck you, dude.
True. Based.
Like, he should be so fucking happy that I haven't even leaked so much shit that he told me in private.
Don't mind me.
God.
Giga Chet
He
acting
should
the
be
bot
so,
lane.
he should be on his
no.
fucking knees
There's a
thanking
water
me
tumbler
for all the
incoming.
shit that I have
Better
not
go,
leaked about
intention
him, all the
fee.
private
You're
shit
beating
that
me
he
into getting
told
double
me.
kill.
Oh my god, thank god.
all the fucking shit he said to me.
All the
He
shit.
should be on his knees fucking thanking me.
Definitely not unhinged.
But I won't do it because it would just be a piece of shit move on my part.
True.
Because it
Wait
would
for
just
you to
be
Q
like
you
a
and then
nasty
Q
thing
behind you
to
and do your
so
combo.
it's
You
like-
will probably kill him, or force him to use his W at least.
Cool.
People see endless streams talk about him and that feeds their own narrative of stalking. It's another loop. Well, I'm trying to convince them I'm not stalking. Well, what did you talk to your mutual friends about? Yeah, that's what abuse victims do. They talk to their friends about how they're being abused. That's normal behavior. Because abusers try and, like, isolate you.
Girls, we need to break the loop. You've been on this for a little
But also, like, I didn't know that, like, certain people were, like, his mutual friends and stuff. Like, it's just weird. Like, people assume that, like, I'm supposed to know everybody who he's, like, friends with or something. It's just weird.
Remember when they literally raided into
Like, if
Autistic
anything, this
Destiny
shows
just
how
to
much
trigger
of,
me?
like, a not stalker I am. Like, I didn't know anything about him. I didn't want to Google him. Like, that's fucking weird, dude. Like, why would I Google someone and, like, find out about, like, his past streams? Like, that's fucking weird. That's so fucking weird. Like, how would I know everything he's involved in and shit? Like, that's just so fucking weird and gross and stalkerish. Like, that's stalkerish, just, like, Googling someone. Or, like, watching their streams before you, like, get involved with it. Like, ew, dude. Ew. Ew, that's creepy. Like, there were things I heard and stuff, but, you know, that's about it. But no. Yeah, I mean,
It
also,
can't be
don't
bargained
forget
with.
he
It
deleted
can't
a
be
bunch of
reasoned with.
DMs.
It doesn't feel pity
it look
or
way more
remorse or
one-sided.
fear. It absolutely will not
Can't
stop
fucking delete DMs, you know,
until
on
you are
Instagram
dead.
and Discord.
Asterisk,
Can't on
asterisk,
can't on
asterisk.
Twitter though, and that's why he hasn't leaked those DMs. Yeah, well then, why don't you go tell him, Chico, to stop slandering me as a stalker, and then
Imagine
it can end.
abusing someone then
and then it
pretending
can
to be the
end.
victim. Why are we still
But he
following this
won't
arch?
stop. He won't stop. Yeah, but I edit DMs. Like, there were DMs that I edited, though, which look sus, too. Like, I edited DMs because I was freaked out about when he, like, first started releasing, like, leaking DMs. And I edited some because there was, like, some personal stuff. I didn't edit all the personal stuff. I wish I had, though. But I didn't really think that he'd dox my first name, and then he did that, but, you know.
By the way, I've never
just
said
keeps
her first
surprising
name
me
on
at
stream.
how
No one
low
knows
he'll
what it
stoop.
is. It's funny that she keeps saying that.
You came in here one day for The Witcher, yeah. It can't be handled privately because he won't do it.
It's not
He
Anna and it's
won't
not Kimmy. No.
negotiate. He is impossible
Didn't
to
you say
reason
Kimmy
with.
won?
I can't reason with this motherfucker. Destiny is just unreasonable, and it's impossible to try and negotiate anything with him.
Frills.
He won't fucking do it.
Frills.
I would love to, though, but he won't.
Anna.
Because
Anna.
he gets off on people's pain. Sick fuck.
Anna.
What?
If he's
Like,
this
what am I
unreasonable,
supposed to do about this, Merle? I want the slander to stop. Why won't it stop? I haven't talked about him for a week, and it's still there.
A whole week she stopped.
Yeah, you're talking about him now, and that's not helping any.
Yeah, but, like, if I don't talk about it, I'm still gonna be called a stalker. How am I supposed to correct this? How long
The
did it
first
take
step-
Anna to get that shit upgraded? I don't know, a long time.
The first
I don't know,
step
long
is
time.
to just
I don't know.
pretend it doesn't exist when you're streaming.
But it's still out there. I want it gone.
That's the-
I want the lies gone. It's not fair. He got
With-
his narrative to be the one. Like,
There's other things,
it's not right because he was so abusive to me.
and there's other things we can discuss, but I don't think on stream is the best spot to discuss them.
No, I know Merle's trying to help. It's fine. But what am I gonna do about the slander? I want it gone.
2022, boys. We're still here.
I didn't do anything.
When did I meet her? Was it in
stalkerish at all.
2020? Was it or 2021?
Why don't people understand that sometimes abuse
2020,
victims,
nice.
like that abuse victims aren't perfect? No, I didn't hang up on Merle. I wouldn't hang up on him.
So Frills.
Frills.
There's other things we can discuss off stream, but I think on stream your best move is to just pretend he doesn't exist.
But Merle, how am I supposed to stop the slander?
But how am I supposed to, like... It's not gonna be okay. He's ruined my life. It's never gonna be okay. He ruined my life.
Wait.
He slandered me as a stalker.
We need the bingo card. Private sex life details.
And it won't go away. What could I have possibly done that was stalkerish? Like, was I really just supposed to, like, have, like, panic attacks and, like, basically just let him, like, keep on harassing me and stuff? And, like, not try and, like, make peace with him to try and make it stop? Was I just supposed to, like,
What's going on
sit
with
and
matches
live
today?
in fear, like, waiting, like, well, let's see what else he does to me? Like, let's see what else he does to me. But, like, trying to, like, make peace to, like, prevent him from doing more damage to me, that's stalking. That's apparently stalking to people. Or, like, trying to, like, reach out to, drama streamers to give my side of the story. That's stalking, apparently. Reaching out to All Relevant to give my side of the story, that's stalking, apparently.
Have you made a bet around her saying you'd rape her? I think it'll happen this year. She'll start saying I raped her.
Yeah, I have.
It's the last day of the preseason. People
Like,
don't want to waste time. Oh, sure, I
Merle,
guess.
do you think that these people really believe it, or they just say it because they know it, like, it upsets me, right?
They say it just to trigger you.
Yeah, like, they don't really believe it. But it's like, I can't even, like, listen to Hassan now because it's like, people said that Hassan mentioned me. It's like everything's getting ruined. All the good things are being ruined and tainted.
Well, there's stuff we can talk about off stream, but I don't think on stream's the best spot to talk about it.
Also, is it
The
true
best
that
thing to do
Hassan
on
mentioned
stream
me?
The best thing you do on stream is just pretend it doesn't exist and just try to put on a good show.
I know, that's because they're demons. They're fucking nasty people.
She goes into the baby voice so often. I wonder what that's like,
E-Rob. I don't know who E-Rob is.
being a woman, when you can just, like, I just want to use a baby voice. Like, what is that like to just switch into that? Like, when I talk like that, it's because I don't even talk to Nathan like that anymore, actually. He's, like, fucking 10. Like, what is it like to just, like, what are we going to do today? I don't know. Like, it's such a weird thing. I say what's it like as a woman to do, but I don't think many women do. That's so weird.
Oh my god, why are there so many toxic people online? Bro, why do I not have any of these problems? Oh no. So he's probably slandered me too? Well, if he's slandered me, then fuck him.
Oh, I talk to cats like
I
that.
see,
True.
Autumn,
Pets,
yeah.
animals.
But I mean, I've never been in an abusive relationship before. I mean, to me, then, like... I mean, to me, it's really bad. Being ignored and stonewalled and stuff. Like, I don't know. And that's not really true because, like, that is a core part of emotional abuse. And, I mean... I've heard from tons of abuse victims that was really unbearable.
True.
Because it was like, they knew it was like they were being punished
Absolutely.
because their abuser was mad at them.
Okay, what are we eating today, guys? More chicken.
So I think it's different.
I need to go grocery shopping so bad.
There are different types of abusers. Some abusers use the hostile withholding shit, which is like being given the silent treatment and stonewalled.
Stonewall, that's what Dr. Gottman
do
says.
Like they're super like overly like they're like monitoring everything you do and like constantly like, what are you doing? Where are you? Where are you? What are you doing? Where are you at? You know, that kind of shit.
Oh, for sure.
So maybe it might depend on what type of abuse you've been through. Yeah, a core part of emotional abuse is being given the silent treatment and stonewalled, yes. Being ignored is a part of it, yeah. You could look up the research on it. Research confirms this. Oh, are we getting a hype train from this? I don't fucking know. I mean, I guess, if they're just reading and believing the lies. But then that's still why I get pissed at Destiny, because, like, he caused it. And he's responsible for all this.
I don't think on stream is the best spot to be talking about this right now.
Uh-oh.
Target acquired.
But I have to convince people that he lied and he's wrong.
I have to
People
fight this
tuning in
battle.
aren't tuning in because they're going to listen to you. They're tuning in because they're drama llamas and they just want to watch you have a meltdown.
No, it's pretty awful for them to think that emotional abuse isn't real abuse. That's pretty terrible. And they need to, like, not do that. Because it's like, just because you don't think something sounds that bad, I mean, for other people it is really bad. Just like I said, some people find emotional abuse to be far worse than physical abuse.
True. Base.
I mean, all abuse still is, like, not okay.
Oh no.
Google search on what? Yeah. Yeah, there you go. See? If someone uses silence.
Nathan got... Oh, sorry.
You can use, like...
Nathan got banned from Discord. What a fucking moron. Apparently he said... He must have been on a server and he said that he was under 13. Or he said his age. And apparently you have to be at least 13 years old to be on Discord. So they said he has to submit an ID or he has to wait until he's old enough. Rip. What do you want?
Oh my god, what up?
Hi, what's up? I'm streaming.
Yo, I need to know if I should sell my car for $16,000. I bought it for $45,000 and it's a part of Twitch history. What do you think?
Why would you... How are you getting so little for? How long ago did you get it? What kind of car is it?
It's a Nissan 370Z 2016. It's got a bunch of dents in the front from K-Bubbles driving it, and it's a piece of Twitch history though. Let me tell you, this me and Train streamed in this thing. God. Me and Mirish, I'm emotionally attached to it, and I'm just wondering if I should sell it for 16. It's not working very well. The alternator's failing. The battery's leaking acid. We're having trouble.
Fucking sell it then, dude.
It's okay. You really think I should sell it, man?
I have no sentimental attachment to fucking anything, okay? If you want to keep it, then you do it, but I don't give a fuck about shit like that. So, it's up to you, dude.
Fuck. Alright.
Here's what you should
Thank
do.
you for your...
Tell them to... Or, I'm sorry, yeah. You should auction it to, like, a viewer. See if you can auction it. Get higher from a Twitch fan.
You think they would buy it?
I don't know, maybe. Tell them you'll do, if you can auction it along with, like, some in-person fucking house party concert thing, too. You and that guitar dude, you can go and sing or whatever. I bet you get some money for it, man.
Yeah, bro, I'll just go do a live concert. Yeah, bro. Fucking hey, man, dude. I haven't talked to you in years, bro. How's life?
Pretty good. Just chilling.
That's good, man. That's good. I'm proud of you, dog.
Thanks. Proud of you, too. How's California life?
You know, it is what it is. I'm out here trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's the streaming going?
Pretty good. It is what it is. Just, you know, trying to make it work.
All right, brother. I love you, dog.
I love you too. Be careful, okay?
All right, have a good one, man.
Bye. Okay, I'm gonna get food and stuff. I'll be back in a bit. I have my panel, like 50 minutes. I love you guys. It's a crazy one tonight, okay? We have Gutex and Geisha on an anti-vax panel. All of our might will be tested for this, okay? Oh boy. Go watch Hutch, okay? Be back in a bit. Raid Anna? Good one. Dumb fuck.